Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Nerds and Words. We have got an excellent episode for you guys today. We are going to be interviewing ex-CM Richter. If you guys don't know who CM Richter is, he was easily the most successful community manager from Kakao Games for Black Desert Online, NA, and EU. So we're very excited to talk to him. Full disclosure, we have no idea how this is going to go. We're going to throw some questions at him. Obviously, we're not trying to get anybody in any trouble, but he's a really good dude. He's moved on to a pretty successful career within kind of computer gaming industry, stuff like that. So we're going to do the first hour of the three of us, the nerds. We're going to go through our week, talk about BDO, the topics that we keep going on about. And then this is the first time we've had a guest. And so he'll come in about an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. And he's got a camera and we'll do the whole thing. So it should be fun. Bear with us as this is the first time we've done it, but very excited. A lot of content today. Look forward to Saturday every week, guys. How you doing? How was your week?
Well, I worked on some YouTube video like the entire week, and I don't think anybody's going to watch it because I think I'm the only one interested in the topic. But I'm back on the BDO grind now, and I'm looking forward to grinding out a Tet Ogre and getting my some pin armor pieces.
You're actually playing BDO again. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm back on
fun?
it. Mm-hmm.
He almost shook his head this way when he said, he was like, yeah, I'm having so much fun.
So you're not playing the new class though, right?
It's not out yet, unless I missed that.
Are you going to though?
Oh yeah, when it comes out, I plan on jumping on a new class, going heavy on that. I plan to get 61 day 1, then probably day 2 going back through the main storyline, and then renting the what's the new weapons called again? Anyway,
one of those?
I'm gonna rent them for 150 CP or for all 3 of them, and that way I don't have to buy them. Right? They're basically the same thing as Tet weapons for PvE, minus the AP brackets, right? And I don't know. I don't have to pay anything, right? I don't have to spend any money. I don't have to do anything. So then I'll just use those, the Nether gear. Yeah, I'm gonna use that and grind for a while.
Interesting. Jinx.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna probably go to 62 on the class. I don't
you
really
got 150 CP lying around.
Yeah.
Well, that's most of my farms. I'm just gonna undo my farms. I don't like doing them anyway, so that'll be 100 CP, and I have a 23 free right now. So a little bit more, and I'll be done.
You are such an interesting person, and I mean that with love. We like totally agreed that was the biggest fucking waste yesterday or last week. And then the first thing you come at us with is going to use 150 CP for almost Tet weapons.
I actually really like it. I thought it's really good for people to try out new classes on, right? But I mean, obviously, long term, it's garbage, right? Or if you're trying to super min max, it's garbage. But honestly, I'm at the point where I'm not trying to min max anymore. I'm just trying to enjoy my time in BDO better.
Good.
Go
ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, you could also just buy Tet weapons for the class and then resell them if you don't like it, and all you lose is the tax.
Yeah, but isn't that like 500 million silver or something?
It's definitely less than the money you'd be losing from having 150 CP invested into weapons every day.
Well, 150 CP, if we make, let's say, 500,000 per, right?
150 CP is 30 million a day, even if you don't really do it properly.
Yeah, well, I don't feed my workers.
Even if you have like halfway decent nodes, you should be able to get pretty good money off 150 CP,
dude. I don't know. I mean, you're probably right. I just don't like the whole headache behind enhancing or buying that stuff or selling it again.
Tell me about it.
Like, I feel bad about buying my Maywa full Tet weapons at this point. So I don't know. That's what I've been up to. Maybe I'll change my mind.
You'll change your mind when my new website comes out with the node tool.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Never coming out.
It'll come out someday.
I'm sick of you fucking lying to us, man.
I'm telling the truth. It's the developer who lies to me.
That's fair. Transitive property, you're a liar.
Yeah.
No, so I really support this with you, Potion Shop, because I know mostly offline conversations, I know you don't super enjoy BDO or haven't been. You kind of play it for the stream of the community and stuff like that. You're knowledgeable and you're good at it and stuff. But I've recently just kind of, since Aftershock fell apart, right? I've been focusing on my own enjoyment of this game. And I'm interested to follow up with you in the coming weeks to see how it works out for you, because I'm loving this game in a way that I Aftershock was great, but this is a close second, just being selfish and enjoying it. So good for you, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to do like a follow up in like 3 weeks when the class comes out and be like, I hate having a 150 CP gun.
Well, we do this every
Probably
week,
won't
so
notice it.
I'm going to follow up with you every week about it.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
Tim, have you thought more about joining a T1?
Yeah, I'm going to join Null.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, there's so many simps in there for my stream. I have to.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I didn't realize. I got on the Discord. I was like, so
when are you
apparently
going to join?
Probably Sunday or Monday.
Okay.
I got to get some, I have to like clean out the guild bank and pass off GM and stuff. I haven't done any of that. But apparently, like, there was a rumor going around that Impeccable left Vertex when I joined because of me. And so I didn't know if I was going to be able to like join because of that.
He's such a chill guy. I doubt that he cares that much.
Well, I just messaged him. He goes, it's 100% not true. Like, we'd love to have you. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm welcomed into a guild. This is crazy. So I'm pretty excited. I'm not going to min-max it super hard, like with HP accessories or anything, but
no, you just need the down attack earrings. That's it.
Yeah, I'll grab those real quick. No worries on that. And then
actually, does anyone in chat know when they did the revamp this week on the quests items, did they get rid of the down attack earrings from Kepler?
If we keep talking about
it, they did, but I haven't confirmed it.
Ooh, that'd be rough.
Yeah, that would be interesting if we were grandfathered into those earrings, because I mean, it's totally unintentional that they're good for T1s, right? They're just supposed to be like crappy level 38 earrings.
Yeah, totally. I don't know.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Mr. Payton just gave me one bit. I'm sorry, I got distracted.
I had a lot of fun this week on my season character, actually, because the Arshus server opened up. I had a ton of fun on Wednesday, just out fighting. Yeah. Did you see that clip?
No, you're gonna send it to me, but then you just went quiet instead.
Oh shit! Let me go find it.
I can't watch it now.
Yeah, true. I can't find it either because I'll have to tab out of this Discord call.
It's really hard being 30 and trying to play video games.
So,
but yeah, 200 AP PvP turns out to be pretty fucking enjoyable. So I really hope that they look at this and make. Oh, Bolt just linked it in chat. Bolt, go link it in Tim's chat. I really hope that they add PvP at the beginning of next season instead of making us wait a month, because it completely changed my motivation to like gear up my season character and actually enjoy playing a new character with new gear and everything else.
I'm really tempted to. I blew up all my. I changed all my. I'll get to what I did with my time-filled black stones, but I burnt them all for fail stacks, basically, I guess, for Tep Black Star attempts. But I really want to play a short sword iframey class. I want to play like Sork or something and just be super toxic. But I think I'm too late and I've burnt too many resources. Like, I don't have any black stones and I have like plus 12 armor. So I don't really want to do that. I think season two is going to be lit, and I'll just focus on my gear moving forward, and then I'll be ready for season 2. But I'm, my content now, I'm really looking at so many people before I get to we move on. So many people are. Let's talk about T1s later. We'll talk about that later. I think we should finish this up and then talk about T1s, because a lot's happening within the community with T1s. What else was with your week with seasons? Anything else?
I started playing Ghost of Tsushima.
That's really good.
And it's pretty fun. Yeah, it's a pretty good game. It's kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of Sekiro, both in terms of the setting and the combat, but it's more open world, more of an RPG. Yeah, it's been enjoyable.
I find it to be kind of like a Witcher version of Sekiro.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. It's a little more like story based, and it's a little more open ended. You kind of wander around to different places. You don't have to do things in a certain order.
Yeah, now that the Shadow Arena sponsorship thing's over, I've got some. I'm kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing for another game on the back end of streaming. I kind of want to do some Destiny 2 PvP and just kind of get back into some FPS, but I'm keeping my mind open for the next couple of days. I have a friend who's having an operation on Monday, so I got to take care of them for a day or two. But after that, it's second game time for me. I'm still trying to get through Dark Souls 1. I don't know if I'm ready for like the newer games like that. I'd probably get my ass kicked. So
I don't think it's nearly as hard as Dark Souls.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not like go back to the bonfire when you die sort of thing. I'm playing on the hard difficulty, and some of the fights are hard, but if you die, it just like resets the encounter. You don't get sent back all the way back. You don't really. It's not that punishing when you get your ass beat.
So you're in like a boss fight, and you just spawn right outside the boss fight and can start it up again.
Yeah, it literally just spawns you at the beginning of the fight, and then I think there's even some kind of like mercy rule. I don't know what it does because I am stubborn and ignored it. But after I died to this boss like 5 times, it was like, "Are you sure that you don't want to give up?" And I was like, "Fuck you." Kept going. But there's some kind of mercy rule that you can do.
So my week was, I guess, more grinding. I made the decision that I'm gonna roll into a tier 1 node guild. Everybody keeps telling me to do it, and we're seeing some siege guilds get into it and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna make the plunge. Got a nice spot in Knoll. A bunch of my friends are there, and Moreland. So we're gonna give it a whack. I've been grinding pretty hard. I got up to about 8 bill in a week of grinding. And then I took yesterday to enhance it at Blackstar. I bought it at Try at like 2.2 or 2.3 bill, like a really good price. It was a staff, and I think I counted 27 attempts total to go for Tet. I have a 192 stack and a 155 stack, and it did not go Tet. I spent $200 and
oh no, the 200.
Yeah, I spent $200.
On what artisans?
I did 200 artisans and 9 costumes. It was the first time I've ever bought costumes to melt them. And Pearl Abyss gave me money. I gave him some back, whatever. I came out ahead. And it's the first time I've ever melted costumes for enhancing. I've never done that before.
So you were cronning Try?
I croned 1 Tet, but the rest of them were Try. So I mean,
a 190 stack's not a waste though. I mean, even though it sucks that you didn't get the weapon, that's a good stack.
So I'm not worried about the $200. Like, it's fine. It would have been great to get the 10 bill or something for it, but I've never done it before. I learned my lesson. Never going to do it again. It was financially irresponsible, but I had fun doing it. Whatever. But I went from 8 bill down to 4 bill, and I increased my stack from 147 and 100 to 192 and 155 for 4 bill. So I've got some, like, that's a hardy Try Dead God stack and a 155 stack.
Yeah.
So true. I sold the packet duo, and I've got 4.4 bill. And before the podcast, I've already grinded 100, or I've already grinded a bill today. So I'm just getting back to that second Tet Disto grind and my journey to 302. I'll land at 302 AP. And then we'll move to 305 AP and then just stack a shitload of DP. And I'm super excited for that. Even though the meta's kind of shifting to tier 1, I still want to do this. So do a little T1 Node Wars, see how that is, and then just keep grinding.
The gear helps even in T1s. There's something we need more testing when it comes to T1 gear. Because there's definitely the caps are not what they say they are. So
really.
The gear, you'll still fear the extra gear, even though it's supposedly capped. We really need to sit down and test it at some point with like another T1 guild and see exactly what's going on. But yeah, it's not totally capped the way they say it is.
Interesting. Not interesting. Normal. With typical.
Yeah,
honestly,
frustrating. Typical. Actually, I wish that the mechanics just were what they say they were.
No, that'd be too easy. You can play a Western game for that.
Imagine they have a whole nother complicated system, just like the per character bouncing, but it's for Node Wars. It's just for Node Wars.
No, I think it's the opposite for Node Wars. I think they did one pass at a formula and didn't test it at all, and it probably has 3 or 4 bugs, and they've just left it there for 3 years.
They probably use the same code that they use in Red Battlefield capping, right? Because that's been the game since launch. So they probably just took that and changed the numbers a little bit.
The Red Battlefield literally just restricts you from putting on items over those numbers. There's no special formula that changes how the items applied. The T1 Node Wars change how the stats are applied to your character, and they don't do what they say they're supposed to do.
I don't think Pearl Abyss is necessarily. I don't think they share a lot of information with themselves, right? We talked about that through like mobile and stuff. But I don't find them to be lazy, and it's not lazy. I don't find them to be really efficient. I don't think that they really take something from one thing and then plug it somewhere else. I think they just like start from scratch. They're just like, oh, we have to do this. There's not somebody going, hey, that's really like this thing that we got over here. Maybe we could just start with that. I think they just go in fresh every single time. But I have no basis for that. I'm just speculating. I'd like to talk about T1s if I can steal your job. I'm sorry, Potion. I'd like to just jump in from that to T1s and how that's kind of affecting like siege guilds are getting into it and stuff.
Well, yeah, I think that's a good point because like you got to think about, right? People are always going to gravitate towards what's the most fun activity in the game, right? And for PvP, that's no longer siege and node wars anymore, right? Regular node wars. That's actually T1s. T1's the most fun, and now that everybody's starting to become aware that T1s are the most fun PvP in the game, like obviously people are going to start navigating away from the siege castles, and there'll always be people who'll go for the 50% drop rate bonus, but it'll just be like, oh, we're going to have a grind week, right? It's not going to be for the PvP.
Well, not only is it more fun in terms of gameplay, it's more fun in terms of people. And it's extremely noticeable the difference in attitude between the T1 community and the Siege community. Like, a lot of the Siege guilds are pretty hell-bent on making each other quit the game. And they're finally getting what they want. A lot of people are quitting the game or they're quitting Siege and they're going to T1s instead. Whereas the T1 community actually wants good fights and, they are there for fun. They're not there for castle payouts or anything else. They're just there for the enjoyment of PvP. So it's a completely different environment.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a T1 podcast like Siege Night and podcast and stuff? I heard it didn't.
Should be.
OG
we
Pulse
have
that, right?
There's kind of a siege, like an RP siege that we do in Kron Castle on Fridays. But I think they're still trying to get more people to participate on it.
Yeah,
maybe I'll let Norelio start that podcast and I'll steal it from him.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I think the really big thing to note here is it's not that necessarily that T1s are a better formula than the old node wars are. It's that it's a more fun activity. So I think what Probus would likely do if they found out that T1s are more fun is that they would just copy and make caps for everything then, right? Which I don't think is the solution to the T1 and Siege problems they have right now, right? And so I really hope that they look at this and realize, hey, like we just messed up on how we designed nodes and we need to go back to the drawing board on that a little bit rather than just copying the caps and then applying that all the way up to Siege.
I think they'll actually do the opposite. I think they'll see all these people participating in T1s and nerf them somehow to force everyone to go back to the broken Siege scene. That is
totally what they would do. They take a fun activity and then make it not fun anymore.
Here's just like a fucking metric shitload of irony. So twofold, Jaehee said that he wants to bring the game back to its original like fun when it was out, in 2016. And they're also trying to solve time to kill. And so now we have these capped, but not really capped, apparently, T1 node wars that has solved time to kill, and it brings back the fun of the original game. And they have no idea. They have no idea. There's no way they know, right? I really like that gear still scales somehow in T1. That's exciting for me. That's what's been holding me back from T1s is if I can have, a ton of gear and it has a palpable difference, not a huge difference, but like, 5% or 10% if I'm super geared. Like that's awesome.
See, that's why I think the AP brackets, they just need to cut them. It solves two problems at the same time, right? If you give everybody a whole bunch of AP, then it makes evasion, accuracy, and DR unbalanced, right? Because you're not giving a whole bunch of those stats, right? Yeah. So, that would solve the time to kill if they remove AP brackets. And I think it would make the game a lot more fun because you're still getting a palpable difference by getting a few AP here and there, but it's not to the point where it's, lesser geared people can't compete.
I love the word palpable too.
It's really interesting to me how we have this journal now where everyone gets 600 more HP, which is a lot. So clearly they do want people to be living a little bit longer. On top of that, we have this broken HP mechanic in Siege where people get up to 5,000 more health. And now this week we also got this new mechanic in RBF where the lower your health is, the higher your DR is, which is like a weird way to essentially not only double your HP pool, but also drastically increase the effectiveness of health potions when you're low HP. I have no idea if that's the intended. I have no idea, like the whole way that they implemented the RBF change. I'm kind of baffled as to what the actual goal behind it was. But we now have open world PvP with one set of rules, Siege with a second set of rules, and RBF with a third set of rules. And all of them have different approaches to how fast you should be able to kill someone and the way that healing works. And like it just seems like there's no actual strategy here. Like I don't know what they're doing with PvP. They're just guessing? How many different modes is Thorntree Castle going to have a different damage formula as well? Like what are we doing at this point?
And then think about it, right? Each class has its own balance in each of those categories. So then there's a whole nother layer of complication, and then there's evasion versus accuracy. It's like the number of layers of complexity here are so complicated that even if you had a PhD in how to balance Black Desert, you couldn't do it. You know, like you could take the smartest person in the entire world and put them on the task, and they would fail because it's just impossible to calculate that many things in your head to figure out how to balance the game.
Yeah, Moreland's still trying. We got the smartest guy. He's working on it.
I think the solution is super easy and has been super easy the entire time. They just need to buff DR so that it doesn't plateau. We have a DR formula from 2016 that's designed to keep damage from bottoming out on people who had, who were ahead of the gear curve. And now everyone's ahead of the gear curve. Compared to 2016, we all have way better gear than we did back then. So the formula doesn't make sense anymore. I mean, it's really that simple. All they have to do is just allow it to continue scaling, and then that'll slow people's time to kill, and it'll fix imbalances between different types of armor as well.
True.
Yeah, but there's no spreadsheet for that, so we can't do that. But that was my problem with Siege, with the HP thing that came out, is I don't like that there's a separate rule set for only 4 hours out of, potentially only 4 hours out of the week. And then the rest of it's like time to kill is either a problem or it's not. Like,
well, the thing is also, there's no way to practice it. You can't practice to know how your class, works in Node Wars. So you just have to go in and like guess, because there's no way of testing it. Like you can't go to the test server, you can't go to the regular servers. There's literally no place you can go and test the damage numbers to see how your class is supposed to perform.
Have you guys done RBF? Have you done any RBF with the new thing?
Yeah, I did it. I mean, you can, if you just look at it on paper, you can predict what the outcome's going to be. It basically just stretches the left half of your health bar. That's all it does. Like it's a buff to healing potions when you're below half. It's a very weird implementation. It makes you feel a little bit tankier. It doesn't keep you from getting blown up when you're CC'd. I mean, I guess it prevents you from getting one shot by a succession Kuno who sneaks up on you at the spawn or something like that, which is fine. Like, I think all of us are in favor of slower time to kill. I just don't understand these overly convoluted implementations. It reminds me of like when they buffed Node by giving you a 50% drop increase, but only on 10% of your kills. It's like, why not just give people a 5% drop? Like it just, I don't know. I don't get the extra layer of confusingness, and I don't know why it has to be different from the rest of the game. If time to kill is a problem, just fix it in the whole game. I don't know why RBF needs to be different.
Yeah, I agree. It just, the extra layer of complication is, and I think that Node example is a perfect example of how they've been handling all of this, right? Needlessly extra complication.
If there's going to be a buff in RBF that increases your DR, make it an objective. Like, why can't we have a PvP map with 3 different objectives spread out in a triangle across like a node-sized area, or like a half of a node-sized area, where people can go and capture a point, and it gives you, like a DR buff for the next 5 minutes or something. Like, there's so many different ways that they could just make an actual fun PvP mode in the game. It's, I don't know. It's just frustrating.
Yeah. RBF is some of the worst content in any video game I've ever suffered. It's so lazy. It's so bad. The map is fucking I mean, it's not even a map. They just picked a bad section of Azeroth.
Yeah, it's like the level 18 Al-Rundi zone with like a couple modifications.
Yeah. I didn't even realize that until like last year. We were doing a node war there. I think it was one of Aftershock's first node wars, and Barcode was like up our skirt. And I was like, wait, this is the RBF map. And I was like, oh, because like I've never fucking been over
Copy
there for any
paste.
reason. Yeah. And so there's so many better places to put it. But anyway, digression, rabbit hole.
But yeah, T1s are fun. There's no PA, and
well, Black Rose is like they did it for a week, right? And now they're like Silver Aaron is like being so fucking loud, surprise, about like I'm not going back to Siege, right? I'll do my best Silver Aaron. I'm not going back to Siege. Siege is awful. Siege is awful. I'm going to tier 1 or I'm not playing this fucking stupid game. By the way, he plays BDO Mobile like 18 hours a day. But
dude, he's so stacked on BDO Mobile. He's like the number 80th geared player on the entire world.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, shout out to Silver Aaron. Well,
since we're talking about PvP, let's talk about the season Arsa channel. While you're obviously, Moreland, you thoroughly enjoyed that.
I fucking love it, dude. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, even against people in full pin armor, or like full pin gear, you can do okay with like 400 something gear score. It feels like the game used to feel back when armor and damage were kind of balanced. And I don't even have that good of gear on my season character, but I had a fuck ton of fun just like going around killing people at Nagas.
Yeah, I think it really proves that the core of the game really centers around PvP, right? The gear and PvP are two sides of the same coin that really make the game a whole, right? And I really hope that they realize the success of the Arsa channel on the season server and make that a normal thing, right? And then on top of that, I would like to see them figure out how they can make open world PvP better for the regular game. Maybe not in seasons, maybe that'd be a little debatable. But at least for the regular game, figure out how to go back and make open world PvP more enjoyable again, because it used to be a big part of the game, and it used to be fun interactions across the game, where you used to go to a grind spot and you have like maybe 1 hour PvP, 3 hours of grinding, and that was your fun for the day, right? And I really miss that a lot, and I hope that they learn from the Arsa channel that that's a very core pillar of the game.
So I bring up pretty often that this is a sandbox game, and I think it's a really heavy sandbox game. And I've been having some fun in open world PvP recently on stream. If you include this one weird trick that doctors will hate that I'm telling you, into your PvP called typing. If you type, just like you start RPing with people, you just fuck with them like typing, and then you PvP them, and then you type things afterwards. You not only is it more fun, but it confuses the fuck out of the person that you're PvPing, win or lose. And they almost always leave the grind spot immediately. They're like, I don't want to deal with this.
What do you type, Tim?
Hello, like hello in all caps, like Erica and BR, just hello. Then I kill him and I go goodbye, and then I run around in a circle, or I'll say like, oh, hold on, let me scroll up. I've been doing it all day.
You're just making fun of me for role playing as an orc last week, and now you're talking about this shit.
No, it inspired me. Like I just followed this guy for like 3 minutes. I just followed him. I'm like, hello, you're doing an excellent job. Like, wow, you're really killing those mobs. Have a blessed day. Why are you here? Why are you here? No, go to the other place. And then I'd like just charge him on my mount, and then like he'd kill my mount, and then I'd like talk about killing my mount and what a long romantic relationship I've had with my mount, and then I'd exact revenge for my mount's death and stuff like that. And so I've just been having a ton of fun, and nobody, they just want to grind stars in. Nobody wants to deal with my insanity. And so I get my grind spot, I have fun, win or lose, and then I get a disto.
I knew you were a role player deep down, Tim.
I really am, man. I played Star Wars Galaxies for the RP. I'm not even lying. I was a Cantina owner in Star Wars Galaxies.
What you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to if someone comes up and you see Tim and he's coming to your grind spot, you say, "Guardian, you're a long way from home. You should go back to Dragon, where you're supposed to be," or wherever they're from, right? RP back. Then he'll be forced by RP law to actually go back to his hometown.
This is a good opportunity to really learn the lore behind Guardian, Tim. Have you discovered anything about where your class came from and what her story is? Do you have a story for your character?
We established in episode 6 of this podcast that Guardians can't read. So I have no idea what the what the lore is. Nobody's spoken it to me, so I don't know. No, but so I don't like to have like when I come up with my RP stories, it's mostly like a Mad Libs kind of thing where I just turn my brain off, and whatever words fall out of my mouth, I go with it, and then I remember that. And so it's very impromptu or improv when I come up with stories.
I think your Guardian's origin story should be competitive hot dog eater.
But okay, all right. So that'll be the basis. I'll go from there.
Yeah, let me know
Fair
how
enough.
it goes.
Now, for
Flesh
the
that out.
RP value, they added some new haircuts. Have you considered any of the new haircuts for female character that they added this week?
That's true. There's new haircuts, you guys.
Yep.
Major content update.
So let me talk
content.
about let me talk about haircuts and characters, because I realized that I actually have a thing specifically with female characters and their haircuts. Right, you already have like the armor that doesn't make sense, right? It's like how much TNA can you show off is like 99% of armor for females, except for Archer Guard.
Just to be clear,
except for Archer Guard. Archer Guard is very gender neutral and good for them. But so instead of that, when I pick a haircut for my female characters, I pick like a functional haircut. Like if I was a woman, what haircut would I pick to be ready for battle? And so like my Destiny 2 character has a shaved head. Like I'm thinking if I'm like wearing a helmet, I'm a space shooter, and I'm just trying to fucking kill people and aliens and stuff, I'm just shaving my head. Because it's functional. And so every time I pick a haircut for a female class, I always RP it.
you can use a ponytail to like rope choke somebody if you know jujitsu. You can get it in there and use it as a way to cut off blood flow.
What in our relationship together, in the 3 years that you've known me, Morlin, makes you think that I know anything about jujitsu?
It's not that hard to learn how to choke someone with your hair. I mean, you could do that as a white belt.
I feel like you're projecting some insecurities.
No, there's videos. I mean, I couldn't do it, but a girl with a ponytail could.
Hey, I'm working on it right now. We got some hair back here. It's
Well,
getting
wait,
a little
you still have some seedlings back here, right, Morlin? You could grow like the most fucking ugly ponytail in the world, right?
I don't know. Doesn't the ponytail kind of like stem from the bald spot? I think you'd need to. I could do like a half mullet thing where it kind of creeps down my neck, but I don't know how. I don't think
Creep's
I
the
could
right
get much
word, too.
pull off of that.
Creep's the right word too. You would look like oh my god, that would be disgusting.
Yeah.
Can you set a donation goal for that?
Sure, Tim. I'll get right on that.
So they added some new.
Don't make money. I don't care.
So they are on this whole kick right now of reworking all the accessories. So in traditional fashion, they have redone the accessories. I think in Caltheon that you get from the
you
main.
could do it with your beard. That's an excellent idea. Like ponytail up your beard. I'm sorry, Potion. Ponytail up your beard and then make a YouTube video of you jujitsuing somebody with your fucking beard.
That's true. I could do that, especially if I braided it.
Yeah.
It would basically just be like a rope attached to my chin. I could absolutely use that as a weapon.
Your dream, dude. What do you? We're all quarantined. What else you got going on?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. All right. So BDO stuff. Sorry, Potion.
So they added they're on this whole gear kick right now, right? They have the new Nether gear. They have the new gear you can rent. So they have a new one. It's called Naru Accessories, I believe, that you can get from the storyline. You are so derailing me right now. What do you guys think of them continuing to rework these old accessories from old storylines and stuff?
I just really want to talk about beards. We keep going back to bloat, right? That's what this really comes down to.
There's a new set of newbie gear every week in this game now. I don't know. I don't see the point, man.
You just said that last week, right? You just said that last week, and what do? They go, "We got you, Morlin. Here you go, buddy." It's just I was doing knowledge, and I have a Pride Naru earring that has 2 AP, and it's like, fucking why?
Like, I mean, if you just look at the last couple of years, I feel like it's like, all right, we got Drigan with a new set of newbie gear, we got Kama Sylvia with a new set of newbie gear, we got Oasis gear, we had the 3-year anniversary, which gave people accessories, we had a quest that gave people Tri-Boss gear, we have Oasis gear.
How newbie gear works in BDO Mobile?
I bet it's way better.
Just bask in the elegance of this. Of how this works. All right. You start with your white grade gear And then when you get a green drop, you can transfer the enhancement level of the white gear into the green item. And then when you get a blue item, you can transfer the enhancement progress of the green item into the blue item.
Right. So, but when you go up a grade, you lose like 2 or 3 levels, and you can use Cron Stones to increase the transfer.
Yeah, so it's kind of like how they have this new Naru stuff that transfers into Tuvala, except, you know, Tuvala is kind of like dead end gear, and the way that you transfer the gear is, I don't know, it seems like they're kind of trying to start sort of doing what they're doing on mobile, but I just think instead of having 4 or 5 different gear sets for new players, like why don't we just have people upgrade their Kreia weapons and shit and allow them to transfer that into a Laverto and then allow them to transfer that into a Zarka and so on. Like they did it with they're doing it with Dead God. We get to transfer our dim trees and our red noses into Dead God. So I really hope that they just kind of simplify things and make it so that you feel like you're progressing through the game rather than constantly like side grading to different pieces of gear where you're not even sure like which one you're supposed to be going for. I think that would actually make the game more enjoyable for new players because it's easy to understand. You don't want to have to like look up a YouTube guide to see which of these 5 armor sets you should be actually working on. You just want to get the item and upgrade it and then upgrade it to the next thing.
Yeah,
I think thank God there's somebody like Anders who will probably make the fucking video about like what set of armor. Also, can they just straight fire the asshole who came up with the idea of beginner Blackstones? Are you serious? There's a formula to make normal Blackstones into beginner Blackstones. That is literally the biggest trap I've ever heard of in my life.
And one Blackstone is or 3 Blackstones is 1 beginner Blackstone. It's a 3-to-1 instead of 1-to-3. Yeah, you lose.
What are they doing? I want those drugs. I want those drugs. I want those drugs. I want them. I don't even like drugs, and I want them.
I don't know. There's a lot of things that I feel like are just all over the place, right? It feels like they have a whole bunch of little small teams, and one team's like, I have all this gear progression stuff is gonna be ready in about a month. All right, we're gonna be releasing a whole bunch of events for these people while we have everything waiting. You know, it's like now look, there's like no events this week at all, right? Compared to last couple, it just feels like there's these little small teams, and they have a dedicated purpose of like, all right, we're gonna have you rework all the gear, and then they really don't think about the rest of the game at all. Really, you know?
I feel like PA is a rich entrepreneur in his mid-30s that accidentally knocked up a girl and she had the baby and just goes, how much will this problem cost? And then writes a check and then has other people, just a mess of people trying to fix all these different problems. And then just goes, don't fucking bother me. Here's another check. I think that's our dad. I think that's literally our dad.
That's what it kind of feels like a little bit, you know? They're so all over the place and unorganized with the game. Maybe they should
I really hope they listen to this and invite me to Korea so they can confront me about some of the weird shit I say about this company.
Same.
We need to have that while we're having some Soku. Or, yeah, is it what's called?
Sudoku? Yeah.
It's rice alcohol in Korea.
Yeah, Sudoku.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Exactly. So the last thing that I noticed that I thought was a big update for this week's patch was they changed it where only guild officers and up can withdraw items from the guild storage, which I think is a very good quality of life change for guilds.
It's only a few specific sea monster items, though, right?
I don't know. They from what I read, it was generic.
I don't think it's like the whole. There was a list of items. It's like
okay.
I think it's the expensive sea monster shit that you vendor or something like that.
I think that's a good quality of life change. I don't know why it's just not global, right? It feels like that should just be global.
Well, guilds and BDO have always been structured really oddly. Like the ranks don't make any sense, and you can't set like custom permissions, and the leader has to do everything. And it's another one of those things that they just kind of never really fixed or designed on purpose.
What year did World of Warcraft come out? 2003, 2004? And you can literally set a role, custom roles to have anybody can have all the power of a GM, and you set as many roles as you want.
Dude, Ultima Online had advanced guild permissions in 1998.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, And that
Wow.
game had way more complexity than this one. Like you had housing and shit, like all sorts of things.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all that I
have.
have for Black Desert Online. What do you guys? Is there anything else I missed this week? Is there anything Global Lab or Korea that
They
happened?
dropped the cost of time-filled Blackstones for upgrading Tuvala gear,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a pretty significant drop. You're going to be able to upgrade your Tuvala gear probably like 60-80% more easily than you were before. The biggest change is Duo. Duo goes from 17 to 10, which is massive because the vast majority of the enhancing that you do is, you know, just getting Duo over and over again while you go for you click try and set once and they go backwards, but you click Duo, you know, 3-4 times in a row each time. So that's a huge decrease in overall cost. I don't know how I feel about it.
How many Blackstones per hour do you get grinding anywhere?
Non-Arsha without any loot scrolls or anything, I was getting like 120 at Fogan's, I think.
Fogan's 120.
Yeah,
Yikes.
like 120 time filled. I'm trying to remember. It's been like weeks since I actually grinded, but I think in the very beginning, just with like decent Fogan, one-shot Fogan gear, I was getting like 120. But with Arsha and loot scrolls, you can get way more. Yeah. But
I'm sorry, I cut right in the middle of you.
What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, I hope for season 2. I don't know how I feel about the whole like making it super easy a month in, because it makes me feel like for season 2, I'm wasting my time if I play at the beginning of the season, and I might as well just wait for week 3 or week 4 for them to nerf it and then start and then get all the rewards like twice as fast. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, I guess.
Well, you still have the dailies, and there's a bunch of reasons and payoffs to, right? The daily loot scroll from day one and all that kind of stuff. I feel that they've done a good enough job. If you're going to do seasons and you're invested in that to start at day one, they're trying to catch people like me that I keep looking at it. I'll log on the character, but I'm not actually going to do it, right? So they're trying to get me into it. But you're getting way more value out of it by starting day one, bar none. So I'm okay with it, and I don't think they're being flagrant about it either. You know,
I guess the fact that I get the RNG box and the loot scroll every day, that's an advantage for starting it early.
right?
But that's about it. So I get an extra 20 loot scrolls by starting in week 1 instead of week 3, which is nice. I think that if they wanted for the enhancing to be easier, then they should make it easy on day 1 so that people are incentivized to play on day 1 and don't feel like, 'cause it's like that with everything in BDO, right? You work really hard on something and then they nerf it so that it goes twice as fast.
I don't think it was on
why did I
purpose.
work so hard on that?
I don't think they purposely tuned it down a couple weeks in. I think we missed on this. And seasons are supposed to be a little easier, and they just tuned it down on live because they realized that they probably
that's fine. Yeah, if they're actually just trying to tune it, then I'm okay with that. I just don't want this to be a trend where every season we have like the first 3 weeks is one rate, and then week 4 we have a nerfed rate that comes in and like
I agree with that.
Skyrockets everyone, especially when that coincides with the PvP server being released. Like, there's people who went out of their way to grind up all their Pen Tuvala shit before the Arsha channel came out so that they would be ready for the Arsha channel. And then the Arsha channel drops, and also it's now twice as easy to get gear. So why did these people put in all that extra work to get the gear beforehand if everyone's just going to catch up with them in half the time?
I think it's a big problem that they have in the game right now is that they have this mentality that they have to make everything easier every year, right? We've seen this year what they did for EXP is they made it where on the weekends you now have 200% or 300% EXP, depending on what kind of event is running. And during the weekdays, during the prime time or whatever, then you have an extra 100% EXP, right? And I just think it's just in last year, it was half of that, right? And the year before that, it was half of that. And it's just like they're finding ways to make it twice as easy every year for things like that. And like you can also look that they added this year the Secret Book of Old Moon, which adds another 100% EXP, right? The year before that, maybe 2 years ago, they added the Bell, right? So they keep adding these things that make it significantly easier to level up. And there's catch-up mechanics, but they're kind of like disguised in there, right? And
I know you really care about XP because you're the only level 65 Sork or something, right? But I think the more important thing to consider is they make it easier to gear. They've made it, we're making all this extra money, not necessarily experience, because levels barely matter in this game. No offense.
I think I guess my point with saying that though is, as a new player, right? If you follow like a leveling guide, I have one, right? You get 61, you're done. Like you're done. Day 1, you can be 61. As a brand new player, if you follow any guide on YouTube, there's several of them out there, and then you're done with leveling. At that point, you go to Polyforest for like a week. You're done with skill points, and at that point, you're just gearing. And the gearing process is only fun until you get to try, which you can just get that for free right now from the Oasis gear, right? So within a week or two, you're basically done with the most fun content in the game, and you're on to the least fun, most pay-to-win content in the game. And I just don't know. I don't think it's a healthy blend overall.
And I think the irony of the entire situation is that they've been pushing us to get all this extra gear and silver per hour and stuff like that, and the game's not set up to sustain the amount of AP that we have, and they're scrambling, throwing as much shit on the wall as they possibly can, trying to manage time to kill, and they've literally pushed this onto us. I think it's outrageous to me.
What's going to happen in a year from now is that, in probably a year from now, accessories are going to start selling out, and the reason being is people are going to make so much silver, and there's not going to be anything available from the buy. We can already see this with pin accessories, right? They're selling out, have max pre-orders on them. What's going to happen after that is then the next accessory will start selling out, Tets will start selling out, and we've already started seeing a little bit of that for a few of them.
As soon as Tets start selling out, people will just continue making them for profit, though. I don't think they're gonna I don't think the supply of accessories is gonna decrease as long as people are getting that shit from their rifts and stuff. Then they'll continue to be sold. They might max out, but I'm sure that they'll just increase the drop rates like they have in the past.
Man, I didn't realize how intelligent rifts were until I noticed that crescent rings are 60 mil. And you know why crescent rings are 60 mil? Because you'll be fucked if you ever go grind crescents.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they were like all the crescent rings that are up there. Maybe it's a couple of people that mosey on by there for some PvP.
Do you remember what the price of accessories was before rifts?
Not really, actually.
Dude, when I made my Tet Tungrad necklace, it was worth 28 billion silver.
Oh my god, that's
for
right.
a Tet Tungrad necklace. Yeah. And after that, we had the anniversary event, we had rifts, and I think we had one other thing that just fucked the prices. And my necklace went from being worth 28 bill to being worth like 13 in a month.
I agree with the beanie guy.
It stayed that way, a year later.
I really wish that what they would do is they would look at some of the grind spots that drop these accessories and figure out how to buff the drop rate of the accessories. Or if you can't buff it, then add a new grind spot like Kartuga or whatever that one was, right? So you have more Tungrad earrings, which I think was healthy. So because then the players supplying the items means that the players have more content to do, right? But if you just go and do a rift and you cut down what could be 50 hours of grinding down to an hour doing rifts, right? And it really just, again, it funnels the amount of time you can spend in the game and enjoy it, and greatly decreases that. So I
think that's what most people are looking for, though. Most people are looking to play the game for a couple hours here and there and get a bunch of. And that's what rifts are designed for. It's designed for a more casual player who doesn't grind all day.
Yeah, I can kind of see that a little bit. I don't know if that's healthy for the game, though. Do you think that's healthy for the game to have less active players?
It's not that it's driving less activity. It's just that most people can't play the game 16 hours a day. So if the game is catered towards people who can play 16 hours a day, they're going to lose that casual player base. And the vast majority of the player base is very casual in any MMO.
Right. So I grind for 12 hours, 6 to 12 hours a day. And then when I'm done with my grind, I go hit my rifts, and it's a nice way to, get a little extra RNG. It's easy. I think rifts is one of the most intelligent things this game's done, quite frankly. It literally helps everybody, and it really sustains the marketplace in a really nice way.
Plus there's
it was overtuned when it came out.
Ring you can get.
Oh, stop. Oh no.
It drops from dark rifts.
Yo, let's move on to our next topic. We have Destiny 2 and Dr. Disrespect. Destiny 2 is not very exciting. They delayed their next big DLC to November. It was supposed to be coming out in September.
Let's talk about other games when we have Richter on here.
Okay. Yeah, we can do
I
that.
think it's about let's get him in here. I think we should do that and then just finish out the podcast, and we can just shoot the shit with him after, we ask him some questions and stuff, and let's just keep it lax and just kind of roll with the punches and see how it goes. If you're cool with that, guys.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, let's see. Let's get him in here. Let me message him. We're gonna probably have a quick intermission to do a little bit of a mic check and adjust some cameras and stuff like that. So YouTube and Twitch, sorry, but we're new to this and we're figuring it out. All right, having him come on in. I'm gonna change his name. Oh no, I guess you can't see the name. He should have perms. The chat. You should be able to see the chat. Hello? Mic test. Mic test. Hello. Hello.
First time using Discord.
What happened? He said, I knew something would break. Let me restart Discord. Hold up. I gave him the Tim Allen role.
Is he muted in here? Or is that his mic? There you go.
Well, hello.
Hey. Can you hear us?
Nice chin.
I can definitely hear you. Yeah, give me a quick second here.
No worries.
Are you catching my video input? Let's see if this works. You cannot stream into this channel. Sick.
Wait. Oh.
No, you're
hold
not
on.
trying to stream. You just click the video
Well,
on where it
Yeah,
says
it's grayed out. The perms are, I don't think they're set correctly.
Yeah, hold on. I got it.
Just blame 10. That's what I usually do.
wow.
Hey, what's up?
Wow, look how
Wow,
handsome
look
you
at that.
are.
Look at me. Ooh, we
lad.
in here. Let's go. It's been a long time since I've seen you guys. How you been? How's everyone doing?
Man,
Doing
it's good to
great.
see you.
I know, like actually face to face, right?
Yeah, it's been a
Imagine.
while, dude.
Is that an arm behind you?
It is an arm behind me. Yeah, it's my girl. She's chilling. She's like, all right, I'm gonna hide, but then also like poke stuff out on the side and just gonna be a general annoyance. So she'd be like that. Yeah, how's it going, guys?
How you doing, man?
I mean, it's been a long time. I think it's been about a year since I've been gone from the community. So just gonna do my own thing and just working, chilling. Doing what I do.
Do you still play any BDO or like keep up with it at all?
Not at all, dude. Like as soon as I left, I just stopped playing. I'm like, there's no point, really no point for me, right? Because I wasn't the biggest fan of the game when I first came to the company. But for me, it's like if I'm working for any community, I have to know what they're about, right? What they like, stuff like that. So I played a lot of the game, never like sieging or anything like that because I never got that sweaty. But I did my best to learn as much as I could and to like just learn from the community, watch streams, forums, talk to you guys all the time to basically see what's good.
Well, I think that's one of the things that immediately separated you from the other CMs is we could tell how much effort you were putting into getting to know the game and getting to know the community and everything else.
Well,
how much of that? I'm really curious.
Hold on, Marlon. I know you're
Whoa.
really you're like salivating over this opportunity. I really want to set this up properly and kind of get to know what should we call you besides CM Richter? Can we call you Yoshoki or what do you want to?
You can call me Shoki. You can call me Dennis. You can call me Daddy if you like. Whatever you want, dude. It's all good. It's
All
up
right.
to you, Tim.
So, if you can start us with how you got involved with Kakao Games, what your, just maybe take a stab at this professionally, why you decided to take the job, what you thought of kind of the company and what you were hired as, and when you started kind of, just timeline it for us a little bit.
Okay.
And then
So
we'll get into some
before,
juicy Moreland questions.
for sure. I mean, I think it's what everyone's waiting for, right? Is those big boy, big brain questions, right?
And if there's something that you don't feel comfortable talking about or answering or something like that, please don't get yourself in any sort of trouble or anything like
Oh,
that.
for
We're
sure.
just
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
get a good snapshot. We've never really talked to somebody freely that's been involved in the company and something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So
No, no worries.
protect
Yeah, I
yourself, and if we get
100% understand.
overzealous, just let us know.
Right, right. So before I joined the company, I was actually working in freelance esports. I actually got my started doing small like fighting game events, and just through that, I was like setting up PlayStations, Xboxes, right? Doing tournament registration, and then you started meeting people little by little, kind of building up that resume. So that was like about like 2 years of effort of working for either a good amount of money, very little money, or working for free, just depending which organization I would be involved in at the time, which is always really fun, right? Trying to make something of myself. And then like in the meantime, I was applying to like a bunch of jobs to any company, because there's a lot of small and big gaming companies out here in Southern California, right? So you got like I was gonna say Nexon, but it literally just closed down. Like, I think like 2 weeks ago or something, right? There's like some news that like Nexon is like
Did
no longer have
they?
an office. Yeah, they no longer have an office in Orange County. So
See,
that's
this is
fun.
why I wanted to talk about other games with you, because you were like
Yeah, yeah.
super inundated into the gaming industry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So no worries. So when I eventually got the email from Kakao Games, like I forgot I even like applied. I think it was like through LinkedIn or Indeed or something like that, right? I just like I got a letter in my email, my professional email, right? My business email, and they were like, "Hey, we want to give you an interview." I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure." So so I went in before the interview. I did a bunch of prep, right? Like obviously I knew what games they did, which is pretty much just BDO. And
Well, no,
I played with,
they have they publish PUBG in Korea, don't they?
yeah, but in the US it's published by Bluehole directly, I think, or something like
Yep.
that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whatever they're called now, PUBG Corp, right? And that's like it's funny. Actually, I didn't know much about that because Kakao Games, or just Kakao in general, is a huge, huge company. They do a bunch of stuff out in Korea with like their Kakao app, which is basically like their chat. They're like instant message, or their WhatsApp. I think they got two out there in Korea. So it's like a huge company, and they basically have like a bunch of like subsidiary companies that do different things like gaming and music and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I didn't know that much when I first started working for the company, but before I started, I did my research. I saw what game they were working on. I played, I think, about 10 hours, which is not even like scratching the surface of like what BDO is and like what to do. Because I made the classic beginner mistakes, right? I didn't buy the right items. I didn't upgrade my gear the right way. All that fun stuff, right? But I
Yeah.
thought the game was interesting, and I thought it was cool. So when I went in for the interview, I basically just told them, what I thought about the game, what I want to do. It wasn't really that
What
hard of
what
a
job did you
process.
interview for? Was it for a
Uh,
community manager?
it's for community management, yeah.
Okay.
And the thing with gaming is that titles mean different things in different companies, right?
Hmm.
So, for example, the community manager at my current company, he does a lot. It's not just feedback. He's planning on like community events, and he's planning things like just how to improve like community experience. Whereas at Kakao Games, a CM is really more of like of like an eye for the company, right? It's like they would see what people are talking about and kind of report back, and also be like the voice as well, right? So that's a job that I applied for out there, was the CM job.
Yeah, you can kind of see that in the interactions sometimes, right? There's been several times I've talked to someone in Kakao, and then they say, "I'll get back with you on that," which is code for "Let me ask Pearl this," and I can
Or
see
just ask
how.
somebody, right?
Yeah. I have to ask somebody else, which is I think good and bad at the same time, right? And I think the example that you said, you're kind of like the eye of the company makes a lot of sense,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, you're basically the voice of the community to the company, and then for the community, you're the voice of the publisher or the developer, or whoever you happen to be working with, right? It's different at different studios, right? It's not the same with everybody. Um, and like a lot of the times, right, it just it's up to that relationship between that publisher and that developer to kind of figure out who's going to be the one speaking for the company.
Right. Now, I have a more lighthearted question. I was wondering what your
Mhm.
favorite moment was when you worked for Kakao, and then maybe follow that up with what your favorite moment is, going forward?
My favorite moment was shipping out the Tim Allen coasters. I think that was the funnest thing I've ever done. Which I still haven't given Tim his. I actually no idea where they're at. It's been like over a year now, so I'm pretty sure they're like just lost to the ether.
For everybody else, I don't know. Did you send him to BDO Partners? Is that who it was, or
no? So it was like a contest that they did. Like one of the first things that I did was like my boss at the time was like, "Hey, we didn't send out these prizes." No. Someone sent me an email or a forum message or something, and they were saying, "Hey, I won some contest a while back. I didn't get the prize." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Let me look into it." And I find out we just didn't get around to it. So that was what I did. I was in charge of doing that, and then I thought
reoccurring theme?
And I thought, right, and I thought as a fun, it's a fun little addition, right? I'm like, oh, who's a big meme in the community? This Tim Allen guy who I know nothing about.
Yeah, we weren't friends then. Yeah.
Let me throw this Tim Allen picture onto these coasters and ship them out, which I actually paid for myself. I didn't ask for any approval. I just did it myself. I thought it would be hilarious. And then we started getting messages like about a week or two later after they shipped out. So that was a pretty fun experience.
So we made a coaster that had the actor Tim Allen's face on it, and then a pen V under it, and then started shipping it out. and we weren't friends. We hadn't been friends. We weren't introduced at that point.
Was it pen or was it Tet? I forget which one it was.
It was pen.
Okay, it's pen. Okay. Yeah. So that was one of the funnest things I think I did there. And then obviously, like doing the whole video esports stuff at PAX was pretty cool. I got to sit next to Tim. Thank you, TwitchCon. Yeah. I forget which one it was. And then
it was TwitchCon. We pooped next to each other.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah. I think I think you were
all
there.
We were all there.
Yeah, I think we were all there.
You have a wide stance, my friend.
I mean, sometimes when you're sitting in that stall, and you eat that convention food, you gotta put in a little bit of effort, right?
Yeah, we definitely butt barfed. Oh my god, that convention food.
That's definitely not good. Yeah.
All right, sorry. Back on topic.
Yeah, we're getting all over the place here.
So you got hired at Kakao Games. And Moreland, if you want to jump in with some questions, I'm sorry. I just wanted to get to the point where you done some esports things. You did some kind of pro bono work, as most people who get into this Wild West industry have to do. We all have to work free a little bit. So you get into Kakao Games, you start working. What's your mindset? What's your thought process? When you're there, what do you feel that your job as a new CM is? How do you get a lay of the land? And did you see like a lack or a spot for you to kind of carve out a niche to be effective at your job?
I think that when you start any job working in community, that's like what you're trying to figure out, right? You want to be like the guy who comes in and fixes everything, right? Yeah, right. I mean, you don't want to come in starting off and do nothing, right? That's if that's what you're there to do, then like don't even apply, right? Don't do the job, right? Like if your job is to be working community, you should give a shit about the community essentially, right? You should want to you should want to talk to them and hear from them and basically be their advocate, right? You had to be their hero. Whether that means you can get it done or not, right? At least you have to try, right? And do something. So
I'm sorry. Let's do this. Yeah. Did they give you any sort of direction, or can you talk about the direction that they gave you, or what the job title or expectations of a community manager at Kakao Games is?
I honestly really can't remember because it was such a long time ago. But what I can say is that they did have they had one other CM there before I started. So he kind of showed me the ropes and like what his day-to-day was. So I kind of did that, and then, I just kind of took it upon myself to just start doing the best I could to integrate myself into the community.
There was one other NACM in California.
Yeah, and then the rest were
like the forums and patches in EU and stuff in Netherlands, right? They're in the
Netherlands. Yeah. I believe there's one. Yeah, I believe there's one per like language that we supported, right? So we can.
All right, he went to an office and worked at an office.
All right, that's super interesting because, a lot of people when you see online, you see people are working from EU or NA, right? And that makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, you said you're from California, right? And it's interesting to I guess it's something they never considered about how many NA employees they had, right? Obviously, they have employees for the NA servers and have CMs and stuff like that. I think that's a go-to. But I think it's interesting. It's mind-opening because most of the time when I think of Kakao, I think of this EU, right? So that's I think it's something that's a new way of thinking about it.
Well, they made a video, and it was the Kakao Games offices. Remember, you guys, you made that video with, I think you filmed it, and Good Vibes guy, Alec was...
Yeah, that was...
I saw that.
That was the Kakao Games offices.
That was, like, I think multiple nights of, like, being up to, like, 2 or 3 AM to get that thing done. Yeah, that was super fun in the sense of, like, it was a big project that we hadn't done before, and, like, everyone was on board. There was, like, big approvals. Everyone cared to do it, so it was kinda cool to see, like, everyone kinda come together and do stuff.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was fun to do. It took a long time though. That wall where we had all the community stuff on there was that took forever to put up on the wall. I don't think we planned how to do it well enough, so we were kind of like pulling stuff off and putting it back up and pulling stuff off and putting it back up.
Bro, when I saw that, I was like, "There's no way they have all those photos up there like that."
Yeah,
that is so
I don't
much
know how
work.
we got them all. I think it was Good Vibes and Avalis who actually was in charge of putting all that. Like,
Avalis is a sweetheart.
Yeah, Avalis is great. She's an amazing person. I hope she's doing well. I don't talk to her too often anymore, you know, just because we're off doing our own things. But
She just got back from a nice vacation, I think.
I think she did as well. Every now and then I'll just, you know, take a peep at her Instagram or Twitter, see what's good, you know, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just follow up and not actually having to commit to saying anything, right? Just be creepy about it.
So you're getting settled into a new job. What did you think of the state of the game, and maybe the culture of the business a little bit? I don't know if can you do you feel comfortable speaking to the culture of Kakao Games?
Unfortunately not, because you know, one of the things that I definitely like can't say is like the culture of the company, right? Or the processes, because I think that kind of all is one and the same, right?
Right.
Because the way that you work is also the same way that you interact with like the coworkers and like the rest of the company, right? So it's kind of hard to kind of get into that. But what I can say is that I mean, just with any company, there's a lot of room for improvement, right? I mean, there always is.
I just mean kind of like the mood, not necessarily culture or processes, but
yeah, I guess this is another way to attack this, maybe from more of a personal side rather than a company side. So for someone who's looking to potentially get a job in the gaming industry, who wants to maybe be a community manager or a GM of a game, what would be something that you would, from your expertise at this point, right? How would you go about doing that? How would you do networking? How would you proceed to build credentials for such a job?
That's a really hard question to ask to answer, because especially in gaming, a lot of it really is who you know, right? Or like what you've been doing for free for how many years. Because when I was working esports events, I would do events where I would work the entire weekend, right? Maybe like 10, 14-hour days, and I'd get maybe $300, right? Per day. And then I had events where I would, you know, be able to set like an actual rate for myself, and I'd maybe make like 800 in a weekend. And then I had one event I worked at, it was some other like Korean free to play game or something, and I think I did maybe a max 12 hours of work, and I got like $1,500, right? So it's like up and down, and like it's just you
So
just
this is
work,
conventions then, right? Is what you're talking about?
This was like basically I make a mobile game and I make a ridiculous amount of money, so I'm gonna fly out a bunch of players to you know, do this esports event to kind of market the game a bit and give back to the community, whatever that means, right? And then you know, I contract like ESL or some other company to do the production for us, and then you know, just throw a bunch of money at it because they make a bunch of money, right?
Yeah.
And then you have other events like fighting game events where it's super scuffed, it's all grassroots, right? And everybody's broke, right? But you do it for the passion, and like those events are funny because it's like in the fighting game community, there's a lot of people who are in the industry who just love fighting games, but they know there's no money in it, so they do it out of passion, as opposed to, you know, it's Counter-Strike Go or whatever, right? Or it's Rocket League. It's dumb amounts of money. So in terms of how to get in, it's hard because you have to do a lot of free work, and a lot of it's just getting lucky, to be honest. Like someone like you know, Tim or Moro, right, who have followings already, could probably, you know, they probably know people in certain companies, right, that they can maybe talk to you about getting a job.
I just know you, man. Can you get me a job?
No, not from Florida, dude. Keep your COVID away from me.
Oh God, I know. Being in the gaming industry on the East Coast sucks.
It's almost non-existent. I
Yeah.
think in the East Coast is really like, um, damn, I can't even think. Like, I think Boston's like one area.
Yeah.
Austin. I mean, that's just south. There really is nothing in the south for sure.
All right. So anyway, let's get back
yeah.
to your experience at Kakao Games. So you're hired for this job, and let's talk about you carving out a niche and what you saw
Right.
lacking, and how you wanted to get involved and what you did to get involved.
So what I saw first and foremost is that no one was talking. It was, it was the patch notes, it was, announcements, and that was pretty much it, right? I didn't see any interaction on Twitch where all the streamers are watching. I didn't see a whole lot of interaction on the forums, except for, like every now and then they would like respond and things like that. But I definitely saw a huge void there, right? And I don't know if that was just due to, you know, it wasn't discouraged or encouraged, right? It was just kind of do it if you want to. So myself, especially being younger, right? I watch a lot of Twitch, and I'm always interacting with a lot of communities on Discords or whatever. So that's where I figured I would find the best way to serve the community, and to talk to them and how to learn what is needed from us, right? And the information that I need to get to push back to the developer or the publisher.
At this
least
time, there was no Discord. There was no official Discord
Right.
whatsoever. Right. So it was, I think you were the first CM, not to spoil the story, but you were the first CM, just to give everybody context, to actually use Discord. So
Yeah.
to give the context to this whole thing. So you're looking at Twitch as a platform to be able to get to know the community, a community manager, ostensibly supposed to manage. So
Right.
please.
No, yeah, and one of the first things I think one of the first things that hopped on was either yours or Morland's, because you guys were always streaming like right during like my work day. So whenever like the patch notes would like come out, I would literally just watch you guys talk about the patch notes for like an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, and just make notes, right? What they don't like, what they do like, what's a potential problem. Because at this point, I don't really know a whole lot about the game and like what the history is with the community and the game is. So I kind of had to piece that myself, bit by bit. My boss there was really great. He like was happy for me to do that stuff, right? But I did have to figure out a lot of that on my own.
Now you do have to play the game to be a community manager, right? Like you have to have a game experience. Can you say that?
It is neither encouraged or unencouraged. It's pretty much up to you if you want to, right? Like they're not going to make you do it, but it's one of those things where, like, for me, I don't see how I could serve a community unless I'm playing that exact same game, right? Like if I'm working at Bungie and people are complaining about this gun in one of the, Destiny 2 raids, I should probably know how that gun works before I can, actively speak on it, right? Because maybe I thought of something. Because here's the thing too. Sometimes the community doesn't know what they want, and they're just complaining because they just want to complain, which is very, very true. It's very, very true, right?
I love doing that.
But unless you know like the mechanics, right, and at least have some basic understanding of like how the game works, then you can't effectively speak on whether what they're asking is actually a good ask or not, right? Sometimes the community is asking for something that makes 0 sense. You're like, no, this is stupid. And sometimes you're like, no, they're 100% right, because I play as well and I know this is not a good idea.
I think it's a very creative approach to solving that. Sorry.
Who actually comes up with the patch notes? Is there somebody who's in charge of translating them, or is it literally just a Google Translate? How does that stuff make it from Korea to English?
That I can't say, but that would really be dependent on publisher and developer relationship, right? Like whoever's in charge of that. Like in some companies, it's up to the publisher to provide those, right? And in other companies, up to the developer to provide those. It's really up to like how that work is divvied up. Because there are some relationships where the publisher, all they do is they just provide the platform and the money, and the developer does literally everything else, right? They make the game, they provide their own CMs, they provide their own, stuff like that.
Yeah, because Kakao has a contract that they have, deeds and services that they have or that they have to provide, right? And then that's unique for every company, because one company might say Prolbus does it, the other company might say Kakao does it. This entirely depending on how those companies decide to interact. I will now might be able to glean a little bit, not from Richter, but the Pluribus CMs for the console version, they actually are in charge of making the patch notes and drawing them up themselves, and they get that information from the developers. So if this is a speculation, and I don't expect you to comment on this, but I would assume that Pluribus probably sends over developer notes, right? And then they have some CM that does some basic, translating to get it to where it's something that the players would understand. And we can see this because sometimes we have patch notes that refer to the same things differently. But anyway, that's just speculation because we don't have anything concrete on that.
Well, and
so when it comes to like you said that you took the initiative to go on Twitch and start like interacting with the community and talking to people, et cetera, et cetera. Were there times where you did your managers or your higher ups or whatever, did they take notice of that? Like, did they encourage it? Were there times where you were too active and they told you that like you were saying too much, you needed to tone it back? Like, what was their reaction when you started to be so much more proactive than all these other CMs?
To be honest, I don't think there was like either or. It was just like they know you're doing it, just don't be dumb, right? Because if you're posting like on a forum, right, it's a little bit different than when you're actively talking on Twitch and you're like you're speaking live, right? There's much more room for you to slip up and say something stupid as opposed to, I'm writing a whole paragraph and I can
and
take a
he
second and
did
read it.
slip up once or twice too.
Oh yeah, probably, yeah. I mean that's just the nature
He's
of
got a
me
good
being
sense of
like a
humor.
natural idiot. Yeah. Yeah. But as for like patch notes and stuff like that, I mean, I think you guys can already glean right from the way that PA does it, with their own published game, right, on Xbox, and then how Kakao Games and Pearl Abyss does it,
Well, from
on the
what's actively and publicly known, when we did the
yeah,
Shadow
yeah,
thing, it was communicated that there was something in the patch notes that was not communicated to you. So it seems that there's a responsibility for Kakao Games to do translation, but they also maybe don't be, otherwise you would know exactly what's in there if you're writing the patch notes. So
right.
I do think from what we know publicly that has been disseminated in proper channels that Kakao Games has a substantial responsibility to translate the patch notes. Here's the patch notes, get them out into the correct form and stuff like that. So
Right, and I think that also kind of has to do like if they ever come out, I think more in Moreland's word scuffed, right? It's really like like things obviously I can't talk about, which would be like the cadence of the patch notes, right? Like how early they get those in advance, right? I mean, there's always changes in development based on
it's pretty obvious to tell, and I know you can't say this. It's pretty obvious to
yeah,
tell there's some last second
definitely
fucking
nothing.
changes there. Like oh shit, and it just the word's not even in English or something. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and I would definitely say for bigger changes, there's obviously like a conversation that happens before those like get put in, right? It's like things slip in there that are like game breaking, and we're like, oh well, there we go, right? There's always like a joint communication. At least you would hope, right, between the developer and the publisher that they would have conversations about what is the best way to serve the community through a patch, right? Because a lot of the time that's what you're doing, right? You're providing a service for your community, and if you patch something in that people don't like, then it's
Yeah. Or it doesn't get put in
that
patch
falls on
notes,
both.
then potentially that's bad, right? I think overall,
Yeah,
like it falls down to communication, right? It's communication between two companies, and then communication between those companies and the players, and how that all works out, and improving
right.
that to the point where it's enjoyable by all parties.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you guys don't have any way to test the patch notes, right? You just kind of get them and then apply them, and whatever happens, happens.
If there was that would have been based. I think that would have been more like the GM team, to be honest, than the CM team.
Are you guys pretty separated? Were the CMs and the GMs like pretty different departments at Kakao?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I know in certain, I mean, it's I know in other companies they're not separate, and in others they are, right? Like it just really depends how the developer slash publisher wants to set up that kind of
So
system for seeing Jim.
I'm kind of curious if the CMs aren't answering tickets or anything. What are they like? What are they actually doing
yeah.
for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week? How do they fill even a fraction of that time?
I mean, I can't speak for the rest of the team because I honestly don't know, and I also don't know who's like even there anymore. But for myself, it literally would just be a lot of listening, a lot of note taking, a lot of just learning
Yeah, well,
about the game.
that's what I mean. We saw
Yeah,
you doing the work. We saw you on the forums and on Twitch channels and in Discord and everything else. We don't see the other CMs ever. Not
right.
not even for 5 minutes a week. So I always assumed that they were behind the scenes doing like paperwork or answering tickets or doing GM role stuff. But if those departments are completely separate, that's kind of mind blowing to me.
Well, we can speculate that they're separated even before hearing this because we know that GMs have the requirement of getting a level 60 account currently in BDO. That's the most recent update I've heard, and that requirement doesn't apply to CMs, which is obvious because Emery still has like a level 58 wizard from like 3 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, that I'm not honestly too sure. I remember playing a lot just because I felt like I needed to, right? Like I was there's a thing for myself is like, why the hell am I going to be working for this company if I can't play the game? So I might as well play it and then do it wrong for the first 3 months until someone tells me how to actually play the game and how to actually get gear and stuff, right? That's always like the
Yeah,
just wasting all your
that's part
stones,
of the
so on
fun.
and so forth. Yeah, right. Yeah. And then like, oh, like, should I make another character? Should I just spend some money and reset some stuff? Like, what am I gonna do?
So you started integrating into the community, and you started doing a really good job with it. And you picked a couple of streamers out. Not to dox you too much. Some you like, some you didn't, but you're very professional in taking in a bunch of sides of it and getting some
Yeah.
really good information. Um, and so, can you talk about maybe pioneering Discord and how you were kind of the first CM to work with Discord and how you feel? Number one, I'd like for you to talk about Discord and being a CM. And also, I'm really curious, was there another game that you played or were familiar with that there was a CM that did a really good job that maybe gave you inspiration or that you emulated in any way? Or is this just like, hey, I got a job, I'm trying to build a resume, I'm going to do the best job that I possibly can?
It's a little bit of both. So in terms of Discord, I mean, every game right now has Discord, right? I mean, for my current job, we use Discord as like the main hub for our community, right? Like it's the biggest thing for us. It's I think what we really pride ourselves on. Our community Discord is currently at like 100,000 plus members, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's very heavily moderated, right? Like we do a really good job of making sure that everyone is, is safe, protected, and they have fun. And I think it's important because forums are old, dude. Like forums are for boomers. Reddit's for people who don't want to actually. So, like Reddit is where people go to complain, right? That's just it's hands down. And
True.
like 90% of the people who are on Reddit don't even play the game, right? They just want to bitch and they look at the patch notes and they're like, "This is a bad change," but not even touching it, right? So that's number one, right?
It's
Um,
me on.
yeah. And Discord is where people go to form their own communities, right? And we had communities like the horse trainers community who are wildly different than the cosplayer, the photo community, and then you had like the ones for the specific, streamers, and then ones for the guilds, and I try to get in as many as I could at the same time, like not wanting to overpower and be like, hey, I'm the guy from the company, right? It was for me. I tried to come from a position of like,
You were in
I'm
Sea
here.
Discords too.
Yeah, but I was really there from like a position to learn, right? Like I want to learn what you guys have issues with, what you guys like, what you don't like, so that I can figure out the best way to do my job. I mean, Discord I think is still probably one of the most important tools for communities. And if you can run your own Discord for your community, I mean, this it's pretty invaluable, right? Because people will come and tell you exactly what they want if you just put it out there for them.
More, do you have any? I'm sorry, somebody in chat wanted to make sure that I give Moreland enough time to ask questions.
Wait, is his name
Yeah, I've got
Mauk?
lots of questions. I'm just trying to navigate what can actually be answered.
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? I saw someone in chat asking how long I'm under NDA. It'd be 2 years, so it'd be next May would be when I'm officially fully able to talk about everything. But even then, like, it still wouldn't be a good idea, right? Just because.
Yeah, professionalism.
Yeah, exactly, right. I mean, and at the same time, like, I'm not there anymore. It's like, who cares, right? Like, they can handle their own shit, essentially, right? Like, I'm pretty much so far removed from that company and from the community. Unfortunately, right? Just by nature of like, I'm not there anymore, so I'm gonna focus on what I'm.
Well, that's why I'm trying to get like a story.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
let's go beginning to end and get some good information and ideas of what's going on. And if a relevant question jumps in, then go ahead. So
does Pearl Abyss have any expectation of the CMs? Like, are they wanting you guys to tell them what's going on, or do you think there's more of like a fundamental distrust there?
That was always the hardest thing for me to figure out, to be honest. And I mean, and that I can speak to because that's like my own personal like opinion, right? Because that's literally no secrets are being told. Like I had no idea how that works out. Like it was I got some like I gleaned a couple things here and there. I tried my best not to ask too much because it really wasn't my place, right? Like my job was really just to focus on speaking to the community, getting their feedback, speaking for the company, so on and so forth. Yeah, that's something that I really couldn't honestly figure out how that worked. Way above my pay grade to say that.
So there, you can't recall a time where like you guys sent them feedback and they actually responded and like said, "Thank you, we're going to implement this," or like were they just quiet when you sent in feedback? What was kind of the vibe that you got from them?
There was like I'm trying to think because there was some stuff that I knew for sure, like just for myself, might not ever get looked at, and there are other things that I kind of knew would be like more of like a higher priority, right? And it wouldn't be hearing back from them. It would be I would submit my feedback, right? However we submitted it, it goes to where it goes, and then maybe in like a week or two, it got something got changed, something got fixed, and I would always assume it was because of the feedback, but it also could have been they already knew about it beforehand. They were just kind of working on getting that fixed out, right? But at the
Right.
very least, I can say that there were some discussions that we had where changes were made that were good for the community that I unfortunately cannot speak on specifically, but there are things that are like, this is not a good idea, don't do it. And then we're like, okay, yeah, we're not going to do it. And then it didn't do it. And then we're like, yay, I finally did a thing, right? I feel validated. I mean, how many times that happened over the course of that year? I can't tell, but I'm sure you can assume.
Well, I remember, I don't know if this was when you were part of the company, but I remember when the whole Valk's Cry thing happened, and just getting Valk's Cry into the loyalty shop
Right.
seemed to be something that Kakao was advocating for, that they kind of had to convince Pearl Abyss to agree to, rather than something that Pearl Abyss was going to do on their own.
I think that was more of just like trying to illustrate the difference between how gaming works in Korea versus how gaming works in the US, right? Like you have
Right.
Yeah. So
different
did
sort of
that ever
expectations.
sink in for them? Do they? Because it feels like even to this day, there's a huge misunderstanding about like how to properly monetize the game and how to manage the expectations and the attitude towards the game from the
Mhm.
mainstream Western audience. Do you think that Pearl Abyss is starting to get it, or did start to get it after a while? Or do you think they're just really ingrained in kind of the Eastern style of cash shop practices?
I mean, that's hard because people will pay for a lot of shit in a lot of games, right? Like I'll see, I mean, not even in BDO, just in other games, like right now, like myself, I'm playing a lot of Destiny, and people pay a lot of fucking money for emotes, right? Or like Valorant, right? People are
Potion.
paying, dude,
You
like
got it. You got Potion to smile, Yoshoki. You got him to
like
smile.
what was it? They released like some like $100 pack for some stupid skins in Valorant, and I know people who bought that whole thing. So it's like we can I can say for myself as like a consumer how dumb that is, but people are fucking buying that shit. So like, what can you do?
Yeah.
Now I'm getting a little spicy because like there's a what people complain about, and then there's what people actually do in these games, and people are spending money on these things. I don't like it, right? I'm not a fan of that. I'd rather that you can earn as many things as you can, right? But if people are
Hmm.
going to pay for them, then you're going to keep pushing that envelope until people don't pay for it anymore, and then you figure something
But
else out.
there's a big difference between selling $100 packs of skins and selling, $100 packs of loot boxes or costumes or Valks or all the other
Right.
directly pay to win mechanics. So that's the thing that's interesting to me, is that they don't seem to understand that you can monetize the game off of things that are cosmetic rather than things that affect
Right.
gameplay, and that if you do that, you can sustain the game's reputation. Because right now, I mean, almost anyone who plays this game or doesn't play this game, they have a perception that BDO is pay to win, and that's the number one thing that keeps new players from even bothering. We've got streamers right now from other games that are trying BDO, and if you go and read their chat, every 5 seconds someone's like, why are you playing this piece of shit pay to win game? And that none of those people have ever actually tried BDO. It's just the game's reputation. So do you think Pearl Abyss is aware of that reputation? Like, do you think that it's just a kind of cost benefit, like they just take it because they think that they're going to make more money anyways? Like, what do you think their attitude towards it is?
I think it's a little bit of both. No, I mean, there's no way they can't not know, right? I mean, there's been instances where I'm sure you guys have seen yourself where like someone from PA has spoken to one of you about a stream you did, right? So they're obviously watching. They have their own people who watch, and then you also have the CMs. Like that was definitely something that I would for sure would send as feedback. Would be people don't like this feature, or they may not like this feature because it might seem like it's a pay to win thing, right? I can't say which feature that was or wasn't, but it's definitely a feedback that I myself have pushed back, and something that I've even said like when I was working at the company, right? That's part of my job is to, if you guys think this thing is dumb, right? I'm gonna tell them that you guys don't like this feature, or you don't like, or this thing we're adding in is a bad idea.
Yep.
Right, but that's really all the job was, is just to be that middleman, right? To be that in between.
Can you talk about were you fairly involved with the Siege scene?
I would help on reporting on sieges. I never participated in Siege myself.
Were you in the
I'm
Siege?
talking about.
I'm sorry?
Were you in the Siege monitoring team?
Yeah, I was totally on that Siege monitoring team. I would watch the streams. I would watch the streams, and I would like there were some things like that, like I wasn't able to get information on, so I would literally bug you guys. I'm like, hey, like I need info on this, like who the hell won in this area, because I'm too lazy to go find out myself, and then you guys would tell me.
Did you ever watch my Siege podcast?
Yes.
Yeah, really?
I would actually watch it like the Monday after, so I can find out what all the spicy
Like watch it at
drama was
work.
of the week. Yeah, no, it was fun. That's probably like one of the funniest things, is to see like just like the community like beating each other up over like virtual pieces of land. It was hilarious. Snake always winning again, right?
Was it professionally constructive for you?
I would say for sure, because it's such a big part of the game, and it's one of the things that makes video so unique, right? It's like those weekly sieges, right? So how could I, like, there's no way I wouldn't miss those things and like not look at the content that was coming out of it, because it was freaking hilarious. That's some really good stuff to watch.
Was being was inundating yourself into the Siege community. So there was hold on. I'm sorry. I'm used to more direct interviews.
Yeah, tell me about it, dude. I can imagine. Yeah, I apologize.
No, not at all. Not at all. You just being here and placating this is amazing. Was there some sort of, did you feel that there was a
Tim's struggling, dude.
So you said you're playing some Destiny 2.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Was Siege something that you were just innately interested in, and that you wanted to fuck you, Moreland? Innately interested in and wanted to dive into? Did you feel it needed some love or something like that? Was there like some personal connection to Siege? Was it just the personalities or something? Or were you on like was that like a just a part of the job kind of thing?
It was all of it, dude. It was the personalities involved. It was the guilds, right? It was just how much like I remember when I first started, After Talk was still like a big thing, right?
It
And then it died. Sure, yeah, you can say so, right? And like how just you would just start ranting on your streams, or ranting like on the Siege podcast, right? Or like how we would literally be talking internally within the company, like, bro, like why the fuck is Black Rose still in Valencia? Like, why is Snake still doing this, right? Like it was really great to watch that stuff. Like for me, that was probably the funnest part of the job, was like watching the community just basically take this game and like make it into this whole thing, this little like micro, I don't know what do you call it, but like it was awesome. I really loved it.
If you were to join a Siege guild during your tenure, what Siege guild would you have joined?
Snake for the easy money. Hands down, dude. There's some toxic fools, super toxic dudes, but I mean, the game's all about making cash, right? That's why not?
You're a fucking snake simp. I knew it.
That all the CMs are.
Wow. Good thing you don't work there anymore. We don't need any more of that. There's plenty of it.
Oh,
Can
I
you
definitely know.
can you talk at all about why you left?
There were some creative differences. Let's just say that. And I could also say that I just honestly just wasn't happy there anymore. I was looking for something that was more fulfilling for myself, and that's why I eventually ended up leaving of my own volition.
Yeah, of your own
Totally.
volition for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We
So
it's interesting to me that there's only been really a couple CMs who have engaged with the community on a deeper level,
Mhm.
and both of them were only at Kakao for a very short time. It felt like it seems like the people who are been with Kakao for a long period of time are almost like kind of more running on autopilot. The ones who actually get like passionately involved tend to burn out. Do you think that's a coincidence, or do you think that there's a reason for that?
I think there's definitely a coincidence there, and I can just leave it at that, right?
Okay.
I think that you want to do well, right? And if you want to do well, and if you feel like you could have an opportunity to make a bigger impact somewhere else, then maybe maybe you go somewhere else.
Well, so I'm sorry, Potion. Go ahead.
So speaking of going somewhere else, what are you up to nowadays? I'm sure a lot of people are wondering what you're working on, what you've been passionate about, what's your job?
Right now, I am working for NZXT as a community specialist. Sorry, a social media specialist. So I'm the one writing up all the spicy memes, and basically doing the same thing that I did at Kakao Games was taking customer feedback, people complaining about airflow or complaining about the colors of certain cases or things like that. So no longer working in video games, but in like video game adjacent. N60 is a hardware manufacturer, also make computers, sell computers, stuff like that, and have a really awesome community. It's great.
Yeah, it seems like a good transition. I would like to talk about Destiny real quick because you were playing that, and it's one of our topics that we haven't been able to get to. So they delayed Beyond Light. They delayed Beyond Light, which is their upcoming September update. What are your thoughts about all these delays happening, not only to Destiny but
I don't
also
even
to
think
Kakao
we're
Games?
close to. I don't think we're even close to done with BDO, man. Can we?
You want to get? All right, that's fine.
Can we go a little bit more? I promise we'll get to Destiny.
I want to
know,
talk
I
about
promise
Destiny,
we'll get-
man.
I know,
I want to
but
talk about it.
We have an ex BDO CM on our podcast within the first 10 weeks. We got to get some BDO feed. We got to do this a little bit more.
I know you're
we'll
right.
do other
Tim.
games.
I know you're
We'll
right.
talk about NZXT. We'll do all that stuff. We'll get there. But let's keep talking about BDO for just a little bit longer, okay?
All right.
I love you. I'm going to give you a big hug when I see you again, okay?
I'm gonna drive down there and actually give you a hug.
Do it, man. How do you drive across oceans? Anyway, fuck, man, you completely lost my train of thought. So, okay, I wanted to ask about Alec, Good Vibes guy. He's a regular in my streams.
Great, dude.
Yeah,
Awesome.
you two were a power couple. You two were a fucking power couple. We talk about people who were motivated. So, can you talk about what his job was? Because he was a streamer ish, right? He streamed a little bit, and then he was brought in, much like
streamer ish. Damn,
he streamed. I don't know how much he streams.
He was the
it was a
leader of
hobby.
video esports. What are you talking about?
Right. So he worked with Dr. P, right? So they did that stuff. And so Kakao actually hired him it seems like at least it was supposed to be, especially with 2018 TwitchCon, for like an esports stab for BDO, right? That was a focus or an idea for a while. And you guys talk about your working relationship, if you can, with Alec.
I have nothing but positive things to say about the dude. He's awesome. Super passionate, right? Super nice guy. Annoyingly fit,
He's a dancer. He does like he's serious. Like
he's like literally like a sweetheart. Like Alec was awesome, and I think if he was working for a different community, a different company, he could have gone like super far, like within that community in that company. But I think now he's at TSM or something, right? I think he's
he's very happily at TSM. Yeah,
no, he's big old esports boy.
Yeah, I was at TwitchCon last year, and I just walked by and I see this little guy go, Tim, and I'm like, Alec. Alec.
It's funny. I actually saw him too because I was doing some Social Friends XT and I was walking by the TSM booth and I'm like, "Why the hell is their TSM booth?" Oh yeah, people care about esports and stuff, right?
They
They're,
didn't
like,
have
attached to this
Apex
team.
Legends on their computers though. They just had Fortnite. Fork knife.
Fortnite's a big game, dude. Like I think half of our influencer roster Friends XTs are Fortnite players, right?
Yeah, Ninja, right?
Yeah. I wonder where he's going.
Did you guys get support for the
Is-
esports stuff? Like, was that your initiative, or is that something they asked for?
That was I don't remember. Like I think that was like internal stuff. Like that's something that we wanted to do, and then we shot it off to like some big brain money person. He was like, "Yeah, I'll go do it," and then we basically started doing it because we were gonna be at TwitchCon regardless, I think. So we wanted to do esports on top of that. Because we had Alec, right, who was helping us with like the BDO esports stuff on the side, and um, yeah, pretty much.
Why do you think that fizzled out? Was it just too dependent on you and Good Vibes Guy to prop it up?
I think it would have been too dependent on the game itself, to be honest. Because I mean, the game. I mean, it's no secret, right? The game had a lot of things that needed to be done to it to make it work, and I think we were determined to try to get those things changed, but just it's kind of hard to shift focus onto something that is a potential moneymaker as opposed to like what is actually quote unquote working for the game, right?
Right. There's a creative
But
difference between what the developers wanted and what
yeah,
you
yeah,
guys are
for
kind of
sure.
going for also.
Yeah, and like I mean, here in well, it's really funny to say this, but like here in the U.S., esports is big for different reasons than it's big for in Korea, right? But I mean, I guess we just couldn't really make them see the light of
I don't
why.
know. Why is what? Can you can elaborate on that?
Is
Why
it,
is esports different in Korea than United States?
And like, and it's weird, right? Because you think that they would have maybe thought about it or cared about it a little bit more, considering that. I mean, technically, like Korea is like the birthplace of esports, right? And kind of here, we're still kind of getting our like,
You have
like
a
on the water.
pedigree in esports, and I don't know too much about it. So I mean, you talk to me like I'm in second grade with esports, and
So esports and competitive gaming and making money from gaming was a thing in Korea since like StarCraft days, right? Like it was like you had superstars all the way
the
back in
Night
the
and
day.
Soul, yeah, use map
Yeah, yeah,
settings, definitely. Yep.
yeah, exactly. Nesty and all those players out there, right? I
Yeah.
can't remember. It's been such a long time. And here in the US, I feel like it's a lot of it's like they're kind of doing some weird like trying to franchise shit and trying to do like
It's really been Riot, right? Right. The fighting
yeah,
game community is almost like a
yeah,
subculture or something. It's
yeah,
not
it's a
really a
blip. Yeah, it's a blip.
business. It is a blip. It is a
Yeah,
blip. But Riot has turned it so there's actually a Netflix thing explained esports, and they
yeah, yeah,
basically just talk about how um, League of Legends almost invented NA esports by being basketball, the
yeah.
NBA, and ESPN.
Right,
They're all
exactly.
three of
Yeah,
those.
yeah,
Yeah. Is
yeah.
it? Do you think that's going to be the perpetuate future of esports, real quick, since this is your pedigree, or do you think that those, as it grows, there is going to be like an ESPN of esports?
I think as long as we got Corona time going, I mean, it's probably going to be going for a little bit, right? Like you literally have like basketball, baseball players, football players. They can't do anything, so they're doing these like online tournaments. Right? They're
Yeah.
playing themselves in Madden or some shit.
Yeah. So let me ask you about streaming, since you were so
Right.
involved with streamers. And let's attack this way, because I think the three of us probably have pretty strong opinions. If you were coming into an MMORPG that had open world PvP and you wanted to start a streaming partner program, what
Okay.
would, in your experience, diving from some of your professional experience, what would that look like for you and how would you implement it?
So obviously you want big names behind it, right? You want people who have followings, right?
Define big
Uh,
names.
Some dudes, maybe some guy named Tim Allen, maybe some guy named Moreland, maybe some guy named, Poster
So people
Shop,
that are
right?
already playing and streaming the game, is that
Yeah,
what
for
you're,
sure. Yeah.
not
I
like
mean,
Summit 1G or something?
I mean, you want to mix, right? You want people to bring new players in the game. You also want to also like support the community that you currently have, right? Like you definitely can't forget about them, right? I mean, if you're gonna come up with any kind of partnership program, you need to have like clear lines of like what you're gonna provide them, what they're gonna provide you, or like it should be a partnership, right? Like going back and forth. You should trust those individuals to basically handle their streams and know what they're going to say, and provide some benefits that could help them further their careers as well, right? Like if you're not going to give them like a monetary value, so for example, right, like a streamer like Ninja, you would pay every month to have a banner, right, on your stream, right? That's what you do. You give them money, and then they advertise for you, and maybe there's a contract written up where you have certain deliverables every X amount of days, months, years, or whatever, right? With gaming partnerships, it's a little bit different with gaming publishers, because essentially what you want is people to play the game, right, and to spend money on the game. So, you
Mhm.
know, simple way to do that would be like, let's give Tim the new skin so you can show it off, right? Let's give it to him for free. It costs us literally nothing. He gets a cool skin, and people are gonna go watch his stream because he has a new skin, and maybe we'll make some money as a byproduct, right? Maybe the skin's like $10 for us, right? But I mean, how much does it really cost? It's like an online code, right?
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like that is like just super low hanging fruit, right?
I
You
love that term.
you shout them out, right? I mean, how much does a tweet cost, right? It costs literally nothing, right? I'm literally tweeting right now as I'm in this podcast, because it's part of my job is to be keeping an eye on our social media, right? It takes 2 seconds to like hit like and reply, right? You don't have to retweet, right? Like, for example, with NZXT, we have very strict rules for how we tweet and stuff like that. And just in the sense of like we just don't want our feed to look dumb, right? That's really all it is. So, if we can't throw a retweet, then we can at least comment and like on it, right? People will see that the algorithm will feed that into people's feeds. Oh, Black Desert Online, this giant account that you're following, commented on someone's tweet that they're going live. Maybe I'll go check them out, right? I mean, there's a lot of things you can do that really don't cost a lot of money. It's just how much effort do you want to put into it, to like putting a plan together that looks like that. And then it's also who's gonna set that plan into action, right? And who's gonna keep that plan going. It's not hard. It just requires time and effort, right? Some people aren't capable of keeping up on that stuff.
Yeah. You guys have any other BDO related questions for our man here? I don't. I
So
I
many.
can't take too much more in on the streamer thing, or I'll fucking go on a tirade. I do want to make it just an unrelated note that they are shouting out a couple times a day now for the first time ever on their Twitter
Nice.
with 75,000 followers, people who
That's
go
good.
live. That was one of the main
that's good.
reasons I left the BDO partner program, is because I was fucking fed up with that not happening.
How much?
How much does a tweet cost? What?
Yeah, how much does a tweet cost? How much does a free computer cost, right?
I don't know. I was kind of hoping bringing you on a podcast, one of us could get a free PC though.
Good one, Tim. Good
All
one.
right, Morling, go for it, man.
I mean, I don't. It's
Get after it.
it's all the things that I want to ask. It seems like we're probably not going to actually be able to get much detail out of it.
Just
I'm
be creative. See what you can come up. Come on,
okay.
man.
Here's what I want to know. How can we, as the community or as streamers or whatever, like, first of all, two-part question: Are there people in? Do you think that there are people who work at Kakao right now who actually like genuinely want to make the game better, not like it's their job so they have to, but do you think there's anyone who's passionate about making the game better? And if so, how do we enable them to do that? Like, how do we provide feedback in a way that's meaningful? How do we get changes? How do we get Perlibus to understand? Because from my point of view, there's 3 or 4 things that are wrong with this game that are fatal to its growth, that have been wrong with it for years, and it feels like everyone out here knows, but nobody back home knows. And so do you think that Kakao is aware of those things? Do you think that feedback is getting through? Do you think they just don't care because they're a publisher and they don't even really play the game? Like, what do you think that we can do to kind of have an actual impact on making the game better?
So you asked a bunch of questions there. I'd say the first one, if there's anyone in the company who cares, I think you'll just know, right? Like, you'll be able to tell if there are individuals within any organization who actually care and want to take your feedback and want to make something better, right? So, because obviously you can't name names, right? But if those individuals exist, you would be able to see that, right? Pretty easily. I mean, you guys, I said that you identified me pretty early on as someone who actually gave a shit, right? So if there's someone who gives a shit, you'll be able to find out. Maybe they're hidden somewhere, right? You gotta look under a rock or something and see where they're at, right? Um, what else? If you want to impact a game, I would say, put out content, put out tweets, make it public, like make your unsatisfaction, if that's the case, like heard. Um, you know, if it doesn't work through speaking through the community management team, then take another route, right? Don't play the game anymore, right? Don't stream it, right? Stuff like that. I mean, that's pretty much do what your job is as a consumer, and sometimes it just means maybe not playing the game anymore, right? Like it sucks. There are games that I no longer play because I'm not happy with the way that they're taking their development of their community, right? So I just don't. Unfortunately, that's kind of the sad truth. If you're playing or doing something for such a long time and you're not seeing any like change that you think is going to help the game, then just don't do it.
So, in your professional opinion,
Yes, Tim?
In your professional opinion, do you think that I don't want to call it martyrdom, but it's the best word that I have for it. I'm an outspoken son of a bitch when I'm not happy about something, and I may be
Very
too
true.
squeaky of a wheel sometimes. But I left, a partner program because I felt that it was lazy, uninspired, and egregious that somebody could collect a paycheck and say that they're in charge of something
Mhm.
that it literally nothing is done. In your professional experience, do you think my actions matter? They're heard, or do you think I should have just kept my head down and just kept going on and being a annoying squeaky wheel? Or do you think a show of action of like, hey, this is fucked up and I don't want to be a part of it because it's embarrassing? Do you think that matters, or I'm just an idiot?
Can I say yes to all those questions? um, I mean, it's never wrong to speak out, right? It's up to you whether it's up to you to figure out the best way to speak out that is constructive, right? Informative, but also like will hopefully like how do I say that? Get people moving, for the lack of a better term, right? And again, like if it doesn't work, I'm sure there are tons of other games and publishers and developers who would love to have a Tim Allen right under their belt who can
Mm.
advocate for their game and shill all day, every day, right? I mean, you got me playing Raid Shadow Legends, right? So, you
Did I
obviously got
really?
some power. Yeah, it's actually not a bad game. I'm
That's
down.
right. Yeah.
It's actually not bad.
Yeah. I had a friend that railed me about that, but that's all right. He's no longer with us.
Yeah, but unfortunately, though, sometimes some companies want people who just say yes and will just, take their little, doggy treats, and they'll, hey, here's the thing, talk about the thing, and we'll give you something, and you go,
Yeah,
okay,
they want
great.
yes men.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
just
a
can't do
business, right?
that.
Yeah,
I
and then
It's a
don't,
weakness
right?
of mine. Yeah.
No, then don't, dude. You'll find it somewhere. I mean, if it's not with BDO, it could be with some other games, right? And maybe it can be the premier. There's a lot of people who got let go from the Destiny community for being creeps, right? So maybe you can slip in there.
I'm sorry. Did you just call me a creep?
No, I said there are people
Oh, there's
who.
openings because they were
Yes,
creeps.
yes,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
Right, right,
Okay.
right.
Sorry. I thought you said
The
I'd fit
creeps
in
have been
because I
pulled
was a
out,
creep.
so now
Yeah.
it's time
Okay.
for Tim Allen to get in there and do his thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna go play Destiny 2 on Facebook Gaming with my buddy
Let's go, dude.
Gathalion.
King Stallion. King's Coast Coffee.
Oh, stop. I'm streaming.
We have a new blend.
It's called tax evasion. Buy it now. Don't get me started. I'm talking to B, not to get me started. What else you got in there, Moreland? You got to have something else to shake out.
Yeah, of course, man. I have 100 more questions, but I know that none of them can really be like.
Just try.
I know we can't go into detail.
Right. Yeah. And
I mean, there's all sorts of things I want to know. I want to know what the status of the contract between Kakao and Pearl Abyss is. I want to know if that's a relationship that's getting better or worse. I want to know if these companies have one foot out the door, or if they're actually looking forward to renewing and continuing to work together. Like, there's all sorts of things that I would love to know about. Like how the company is structured, if there's any kind of incentives. But it seems to me, from what we've gathered so far, is that like the direct instruction on what the CMs are supposed to do as far as interacting with the players or taking your feedback or anything like that. It seems like they don't necessarily get a lot of incentive or a lot of instruction to do those things, and that they can just kind of hang back and wing it for the most part. I mean, that's kind of the sense that I got. Can you speak at all about the relationship between Kakao and Pearl Abyss? Like, do you think that it's something that's getting better over time, or do you think it's one of those things where they just tolerate each other and they're going to continue to do so until they don't have to anymore?
I can't really say too much, but what I can say is that when I left, I know it wasn't bad, and I know that
Really?
I mean, as far as I remember, it wasn't bad, and there's always there's always room for growth, right? For exponential growth, for for a relationship to get better between two entities such as Kakao and PA, because they're both really huge companies, right? Like PA is enormous in Korea, and same thing with Kakao Games. And I mean, I can't really honestly speak to what the plan is going forward. PA has been doing their best to basically publish literally every other platform except for NAPC, right? So I mean, I guess you guys can really gather what the plan is from that, but maybe they really like the relationship and they want to stay on forever and ever, or maybe they're biding their time
Fuck!
until they
Don't
can,
even say that. Don't even fucking
So,
say that.
well, let me like but this from the money standpoint, right? I like speculating on things, so you can take my opinion with a huge grain of salt. But this is what I think about it, right? So if you look at the money, right? Is it more expensive for them to restart, redo the servers, transfer everything over, or is it cheaper just to keep Kakao and then just keep going with what's going on, right? They have
convenience.
Self-publish 100,000% cheaper to self-publish.
Well,
You think it's
about
cheaper for them to stay with Kakao? Dude, Kakao's probably getting like a 20 or a 30% cut of every sale that they make.
I think it's much less than that. I think it's much less than that because
Honestly, I
if
couldn't
it,
tell you that because MMOs are expensive to run, right? So like I couldn't tell you what that would even look like. But I think typically for a game developer, right, self-publishing seems to be like the way to go right now. I mean, if it wasn't, right, just like your favorite game, Destiny 2, right, wouldn't be self-published right now.
that's true.
And I
E-
I, I think
Even if
they
cut
moved to
it
Steam for that reason.
5%, like
Yeah.
the amount of money they're making off this game, like the think that there's a reason they're self-publishing in every region except for NAEU.
Yeah.
I imagine that has something to do with the duration of a contract.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that it's just come down to the money, right? They could have easily set up a deal where, hey, we're going to give you X amount of money and everything else is ours, right? And I just think that hiring a whole team of Americans, and as a Korean company, there's additional laws where actually running things outside of your country, you have to hire Korean employees when you're a Korean company, and hiring outside of Korea is exponentially more expensive, because you have to find somebody who's a Korean who's willing to work in America. So
That explains the dinner we had last year.
yeah, and there's a lot of Korean laws that make it where Korean companies have to hire Koreans, and you can get around it, but it's extremely difficult. Anyway, I don't know enough about it to talk at length, but I think that has something to do with potentially the size of NAEU would mean you'd have to have a sizable amount of people you'd have to hire, and I think that process would be difficult for them.
Well, let me give you a little bit of a softball if I can. Well, they already they already have a self-publishing team in Los Angeles. Pearl Abyss does, right? That's Ran and CM Riku and all those guys. There's a team over there already that we're all familiar with and talk to. Tell me the difference generically between publisher and developer. What is and I'm not trying to be coy or cheeky.
All right.
A lot of people, right? Let's play to the lowest common denominator. Don't fully understand just generically what a publisher is supposed to do. And since you've worked with one and you've been in the gaming industry, just in seriously generically, not what you actually had from. This isn't tongue in cheek. What is generically the idea that a publisher is supposed to do?
That unfortunately varies from publisher to publisher and developer to developer. So, for example, you have in-house developers, right? Say who work at Microsoft, right? They work for Microsoft. The only thing they do is
I'm sorry, a third-party publisher. Just
third party.
yeah.
So Third party would be me and Tim make a game, and it's called Tim Allen Games, right? Because I
Hell
don't get my
yeah.
name on, I don't get my name on the banner because I don't have the clout, right? So we start working on this game, and we want to sell it on Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo Switch, right? So it costs money to get that manufacturing going for the discs, right? To get the distribution going and make all those deals. That stuff I don't want to work on because all I want to do is make my stupid game, right? So I contact a company, and let's say it's Potion Shop Publishing, right? And he says, we will publish a game for you for exchange of X amount of the profit of this game makes, right? And then you get this much, right?
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about Potion Shop Publishing and what an
Imagine.
obnoxious relationship that would have to be.
Oh,
and
I
then
make it the most
He'd
lucrative.
publish your He'd publish your game and then constantly compare it to Destiny 2.
No, I compared to Bungie.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So and then we would just strike a deal on what that looks like, right? Maybe the deal is all you do is you run the servers, right? And I provide everything else. So maybe the deal is you do the servers, you do all the community stuff. All I want to do is work on the game and push out patch for the game and fix the game. So then
So publishers are salespeople in customer service, basically.
they can be, yeah, they can be. I mean, I know that I believe for Bungie, they had their own, they have their own CMs, they have their own community managers who work with the developers as well. And then Activision was the publisher, and they were in charge of, doing the distribution, the marketing, doing, making sure the servers are up, stuff like that, right? So it really varies from deal to deal, right? It's basically what deal can you get, right? For your game, for your publisher, for your developer.
Right. So
So when
the
you were a CM, did you have any involvement in moderation, whether that was like forums or in-game or anything else, or is that all GMs doing that stuff?
Forums, yeah, forums we did moderate. In-game stuff was all handled to the GM team.
man, hold on. Let me figure something out here.
It's a lot, right? It's a lot.
Well, we can look at
was there-
Arcade and some of the other ones and kind of compare how BDO does that, right? For BDO, we know that Probus maintains all rights and that we have an ongoing contract that renews at some unknown time. And then you look at Arcade, and Arcade was in the same way. I had a developer, and then it had a third-party publisher on NA. And for them, the publisher said, "Hey, we're going to publish it, but we want you to do X, Y, Z and get the game ready for publishing," right? And the devs were happy to do that because they had a special relationship. Where Kakao doesn't seem to have any of that pressure from as a publisher that they don't really ask for anything. It's just they're basically just doing the job for Pearl Abyss because Pearl Abyss wasn't in a position at the time of setup for NAEU to do that.
You asked a lot. What?
No, I was just mainly
lost the
I was mainly just stating how publishing works.
a monologue.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
How it works for Kakao and Pearl Abyss versus and comparing that to how Arcade did theirs.
Right.
All right.
Do you feel like there's anything that you or anyone else at Kakao provided for Pearl Abyss that they couldn't provide for themselves?
That's a really good question. I would say a probably unfiltered view of the community and what they thought, I guess, right? Because I'm not sure, honestly, how often Pearl Abyss is looking at things like streams or discords or stuff like that, right? So I think they were getting, I would hope, like valuable information on what the community wanted. Via me actually being ingrained in the community and doing my best to get what people are actually saying, not what Reddit says, right? Not what the forums say. Like what people who are actively playing and streaming and producing content for the game are actually talking about.
But theoretically, because I mean, this is how it is with console and mobile and everything else. Like Pearl Abyss, we talk to the CMs directly, and some of those guys do watch our streams and stuff. Do you think there's anything about that separation that's actually beneficial, or do you think if you had been hired directly by Pearl Abyss, who was self-publishing, like, do you think you would have done a better or a worse job as CM, or is there any like benefit or downside, do you think, for working directly from Pearl Abyss? If they had hired you as a CM instead, like, what do you think? How do you think that would have played out?
I think I think there's always a benefit to working directly with the developer, right? I mean, if you're like right, where the sausage is made, and you can kind of maybe get some more insight and provide more insight to the community, and also at the same time provide more insight for the developers, right? Because that's ultimately who you want to reach is the developer, right? Like if you want to make any changes, those are the people who make the decisions, right? So I mean, I would say
Yeah.
that if I was probably directly with PA, I might have been able to have more of an impact, right? But I mean, who knows?
So you think the closer proximity would definitely be beneficial? Is there any benefit to being further away? Like, is there any way in which a publisher as a buffer is a good thing, you think?
Well,
Um,
can
sorry, go
I
on.
can I speak on that a little bit? I just think that the server cost is the main thing, right? We know that the Microsoft actually handles the servers for PS4 and Xbox, or I mean, Microsoft handles it for Xbox and PlayStation handles it for PlayStation, and
I'm
those
not
are
really asking about things like server costs, though. I'm
yeah, but I
asking
think the
like,
thing is having servers outside of Korea is very difficult for them to do, right? And the further that is away from Korea, the harder it is for them to manage those servers, right? So I think they're looking for external teams to
sure,
handle
but again,
servers right
I'm not
now.
asking about servers. I'm asking about like things like Richter's job. Do you think that there'd be any benefits to like? Do you think there's any way that you can serve as a role such as CM in
We've
terms of
got like 15 more minutes with Richter, so let's
Do
keep this
you think that
focused.
there's any way that actually being part of a publisher gives you an extra barrier or gives you an extra layer of, I don't know, like protection or something that allows you to be more effective? Or do you think that it's mostly more effective if you had worked for the publisher or for the developer directly?
I think that might depend on how the culture of working with that developer is, right? And like what they want. Like if they want like a third party to give them feedback, right? Based on let's say I don't know anything about how things work at PA and I'm working at this other company and I give my feedback. It might be beneficial to have a different insight, right? But at the same time, I think maybe I honestly don't really see why you wouldn't want to work directly with the developer. It's hands down, right? If you have access to them, then maybe it's just better to to be able to speak to them directly, or at the very least with as little layers as you possibly can.
It's like the telephone
Yeah.
game. The more layers of telephone you have, the worse it gets to the end, you know?
Yeah, I mean
Right.
that's kind of what I figured. I was just curious if there was any way that that buffer actually provides some sort of, I don't know, some sort of benefit, but yeah, I guess it doesn't seem like it does.
Yeah, unless you set up like a really good process so that that feedback gets heard in the best way it possibly can. I mean, there's also there's also cultural and there's also language barriers too that I'm sure play a factor into that, right? And also just the way that games are developed differently in different regions, right? Games that are developed in Japan are different than the where they're developed in the U.S. versus the Philippines or Korea or wherever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's probably all the BDO questions that I can think of at this point.
Um, I want to say that just as if I could top this off real quick, you and I developed a relationship pretty early on in reaching out, and the professional and working relationship that we had was
Mhm.
mutually beneficial. And I sincerely miss having you in the BDO community. Um, it was nothing but healthy, quite frankly, and maybe the post mortem is you were a pioneer, and it would be great if somebody went, man, what he did was good. And if I did anything like that, I could probably professionally move forward like you have, right? NZXT is a
Mhm.
massive company and you have a better job than you did before, objectively.
Hands
And
down.
so, hands down,
Hands down. Yeah.
I hope somebody sees what you did and does it better. But I think the last question I could have with BDO is there anything you think we can do with the current CMs? And I know this was kind of asked already. If can we try to force a CM to do what you did? Do you think, or should we just go on with our lives and hope for the day that somebody likes you gets hired again and actually cares about their job?
That is a really easy question to answer. Just keep bugging the fuck out of them. You know, either they do something or they quit or something, or they just start blocking you. I
Yeah.
mean, if you want someone to listen, just keep bugging them. That's literally what a community manager's job is to do: is to listen and to speak for you. So if they're not doing that, start bugging them more on whatever platform they're on to get to them. I'm not
And that
saying
you make
dox them and like find like they're like Insta, right? But
find their house.
yeah, exactly. Go to their house,
Answer
right?
me.
Right. But I mean, if you have ways to get to them, reach out. And if that doesn't work, maybe reach out to someone that's higher, or if you
Yeah,
want
well,
to be
that's my
heard.
question. Is there
Mhm.
somebody who's the leads? Is there a lead CM? Was there a lead CM? Was there if I didn't like the way you were doing your job, was there somebody I was supposed to complain to?
Yeah, but I don't even know who that is anymore at this point. Like, I was
We
at
should
least
find that out.
you definitely should.
We should find that out. So there
Like an about page somewhere.
there was somebody who, if you did a bad job, we were supposed to talk to.
LinkedIn. Go to
I believe
LinkedIn.
so,
You
yeah.
can probably find it
Yeah,
there.
you got a LinkedIn.
Yeah. How about you both are BDO partners still? How about you ask if we have a complaint about a CM who we're supposed to talk to? Bet it's Rotaz.
I mean,
that's
it's
a
just
dead end. Fuck that.
yeah. I mean,
Jesus
that's
I'm
Christ.
trying to get the CMs to actually respond when I say things in partner chats. I don't think that putting out who can I complain to is going to help my case.
There's too many.
I'm trying to give them nice pats on the head whenever they, do 5% of their job. So that's my current project.
Right. 99% it's Rotaz, and that guy doesn't eat lunch without paint chips. So,
I mean, like, I'm not saying be mean to them, right? But
oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
right.
Rotaz is a very nice gentleman.
He's a fantastic gentleman. I've met him twice. He was nothing but nice to me, right? But again, if you don't think the community manager is doing their job, I mean, it's up to you guys to figure out who that person is, who can make them do what you think their job is, right? And maybe that person goes, no, they're doing a great job, and then that's your answer, right? Then it's not just that individual, it's the organization, and at that point you have a decision to make, right? Whether you want to continue unfortunately playing this game, or move on to a different community and figure
I
out
think they
where you
should take
can.
this
Only we had
CM.
another option.
I think they should take. There's like there's the one CM Cabs or something. I've never fucking heard of him in my life. I've never seen him do a goddamn thing. I think they should give me half of his fucking salary, fire him, and I can do goddamn nothing. Right? Like, what the fuck does he do? Is it nothing? It's nothing. It is nothing. So,
I don't know.
I didn't
I've
even know.
been there in a year, bro. I can't tell you
exactly. Do you have just a couple minutes to maybe talk about other games that you're interested in and that you're playing? I know you got to go. I don't want to keep you too long.
Yeah. I mean, just real quick. I mean, obviously playing a little bit of Destiny, waiting for that new update. Finally getting my stupid jacket in from last October to come in. So that's great.
Wow, that's such a long delivery.
Yeah, it is. It took forever. Started playing GTFO. That game is frustrating, but also very fun. It's like Dark Souls with guns. Yeah, it's like it's like a stealth survival or horror. It's like if you combine Left 4 Dead and Metal Gear Solid together a little bit with some Payday, kind of like that. It's the best way I could describe it.
Oh.
It's super early access, so maybe wait on it a little bit because it's a little much for what you get. But I think it's a great game, really well developed, and the publishers and developers seem to be it's self-published. The developers seem to be really keen on adding things that the community wants, which to me always makes me happy. As someone who does play a lot of video games, and I think that's really pretty much it. I've been really busy working and stuff. The working in social media, you literally like don't get any time to sleep because if something blows up, Twitter doesn't take a break, right?
Yeah, there's been a couple of foibles on the NZXT. I noticed the subtitle thing with like it was supposed to be an anime joke and it just wasn't well received and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's a tough job. It's a tough job.
But we definitely learned a lesson, and now we know for next time, right? Just context is king, right?
Yeah.
Dude, do you have a take on the Dr. Disrespect thing?
I don't know what the hell he did. To be honest, I couldn't tell you. I'm thinking it's like half publicity stunt, right? Like maybe he got banned for something, just hasn't come back, and maybe he saw it as an opportunity to like do something else.
What if he just canceled his contract and that's like not within his contract to be able to do, right? And he's just going to his own website. He's just going to stream from his own website, like Lynn Beck.
Can you imagine that? I
I
honestly couldn't
think
tell
it's
you.
a
I have
power
no
move.
idea. I have no idea what that's about, but it's fun to speculate, right?
It's getting old.
You think so?
That
Yeah.
that latest interview he did, where it was literally just an interview with his publicist, where Doctor Disrespect was just reciting his publicist's words, obviously, and
That-
like the only interesting question, the publicist immediately went, "Nope, don't answer that." Next, like,
He's like, well, actually, cut that off.
So let me let you off the hook here. Please shout yourself out. I think a lot of people, I know you stream, I know you've got a Twitter. You're actually a really interesting, well-rounded person. And I think this should be a great opportunity for you to plug your Twitter, your Twitch, and all that kind of stuff. Where can people find you and connect with you and bug you about BDO stuff?
So to bug me up about video stuff, DM CM Cabs, right? He's our guy, right? He's the man you want to talk to. Don't ever talk to me about Black Desert Online again. Well, it's funny because I do want to play the game again, but I just don't have the time for it. I still don't have the time.
Alec just got back into it. Alex like hardcore
He told me,
life
yeah.
scoring and stuff.
He told
Yeah.
me, I'm like,
Oh,
dude,
did you
don't
reach
do
out
it.
to him?
Yeah, I'm like, don't do it, dude. Literally, there's so many other games you can grind all day on. You know, why
Destiny.
video? Yeah, I've been grinding Destiny, dude, trying to get those stupid exotics. Honestly, I would say just follow me on Twitter. It's really just Twitter. That's where I kind of post all my dumb stuff on there.
What's your Twitter?
So there was an issue where I no longer have the Yoshoki name on Twitter, and maybe it's
Oh, you
a
don't?
story for another time. It's pretty hilarious. So it would be Denny Denibe Yoshoki. It's stupidly long. It's terribly brand. But also, I don't really care because I'm not really a big fan for the clout. You know, I do stream, but it's very seldom. Like I don't have a schedule. It's mostly for fun, just to dick around and
You do a
play
great job.
games.
You'll play a new game and it's I enjoy your streams. So
Thanks, Tim.
twitch.tv/Yoshoki YASHOKI.
Yeah, not Yoshi, but I'm sure people are going to be typing that shit anyway, you know, because they can't read, right? Phonetics is hard. They didn't do their hooked on phonics when they were younger.
We did that and still failed. It was terrible.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll let you go, man. Thank you so much.
No,
hey, it really has been a joy having you on.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Sorry I couldn't answer all your burning questions. I know it's always, you know, I know you guys have a lot you like to ask me.
we got a decent idea, I think, of
Yeah.
a lot of the things you answered confirmed what my suspicions have been anyway. So there's not necessarily a need to elaborate. But yeah,
Right, yeah.
we appreciate you being on here, and we appreciate you. Like Tim was saying, really appreciate the time that you did spend with the community because you know you clearly proved that it was possible to actually be a good, healthy CM for the game, and you set a bar that's it's very, very obvious that other CMs have not been eager to live up to that for whatever reason. But you did the best you could, and that's all anyone could ask of you. So I think it's
Absolutely.
awesome that you've moved on to a job that you like even more. We appreciate you being here. I appreciate your girlfriend's left arm. It was wonderful. And
She has an amazing left arm. It's
Yeah,
probably
dude.
the best left arm I've ever had the pleasure
Whoa.
of seeing IRL. No, but thanks a lot. I really
Oh, that
appreciate it. I
hurt.
mean, I definitely want to thank the community for video for like being open and like letting me come in and do whatever I did for that amount of time I was there. You know, it definitely it's a two-way street, right?
Come back sometime and just shoot the shit with us with some other games and stuff.
At the
How about
very
that?
least, we're going to have you on when your NDA is up, all right? At the very least. So that'll be episode, like, what? Episode
just let it
60?
go, man. Just let it go.
75.
75?
let it go,
Oh,
dude.
there.
He's
Just
right.
let it go.
He's
2
right.
years, just let it go, man.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
You got these people living in your brain rent free. Don't let it
I don't
happen.
even remember anything at that point.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, bud. Thanks for your time.
Take care, man. All right.
All
That was
right.
cool.
That was good.
Yeah.
I think that was very insightful on a lot of different topics.
So for me, there's other podcasts that talk a lot about the stuff that we got to get. I think that's the most direct source we could possibly ever have. I don't think you could find a more direct source, right? You can have a conversation with somebody off stream that currently works for the company, but they have to have permission and stuff like that. He's got a job in the industry he can't fucking dox himself or anything like that. But I'm so tired of people just talking about speculation without having any relationships or connections or ideas or anything like that. So our first guest on this podcast that the three of us do is somebody that worked for the company and gave us an idea of what things are. And so I really want to thank you, Shoki, for doing that. And I think it sets a precedent and a high bar for us to continue this podcast.
Absolutely.
Make sure that we bring in quality people and not just project conjecture and bullshit, and actually get to the root of something if it's something that we're actually interested in. So
I think the most illuminating answer that he gave was when he said that, you know, if someone is really passionate about the job and cares, then it'll be obvious.
Right.
You know, which is what we've all suspected for a while. It doesn't seem like there's any, you know, we've been trying to figure out if there's some invisible hand holding them back, you know, or if he was pushed out of the company for being too proactive. And it doesn't seem like any of that happened. It seemed like he chose to do a good job, and he did, and wasn't necessarily like, you know, that's kind of all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
He's just such a quality person. Him and I have been friends. I think he's been subbed to my channel for 19 months.
Wow.
We've just been friends. Yeah. He's just a quality person, and it's rare to find that, especially on the internet, where it's somebody you can, you know, talk to about your problems and stuff like that. And he's, you know, we just play Apex or something like that. He's a good dude, and man, does BDO need another one of him. But I guess we could talk about some other games real quick and kind of wrap up the podcast here a little bit. I'd like to talk about Doc for a second, and I'd like to talk about a little bit of Destiny too, and if there's anything else on the horizon. I know we do this every week, so it doesn't change that drastically, but if we could get the back end of this going and stuff.
Let's start off with Dr. Disrespect
You
then.
tried. Okay, yeah, we'll start with that.
I think that's better.
With what?
Yeah,
Start with-
Dr.
I'm sorry.
Disrespect. So for people who don't know, he came out with a interview with his publisher, I believe, or something like that. And it was just basically a whole bunch of tongue-in-cheek. I think it's basically the hype train starting back up for Dr. Disrespect. Later in the day, he also released a trailer for "I'm Coming Back." It's out of my control, but I'm still in power, or something like that.
Yeah.
So you can check that out on his Twitter. He posted on his Twitter an interview. There's several YouTube videos on that. What do you guys think, though? What are you? I'm just kind of tired of it.
I'm so annoyed. Just absolute fluff. Did anyone like read that article and get anything out of it?
I did. So here's my hot take. Here's my hot take. Glenn Beck was his own brand that grew bigger than Fox News. Fox News made Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck could not be Glenn Beck without Fox News. But then so much of Fox News was circled around Glenn Beck that he was bigger than Fox News. So, and also they tried to control him too much, right? Which is the conversation that we had a couple weeks ago, where I go, I really like that somebody like Doc can be on Twitch because it creates context for, you know, kind of that friendly, you know, 2, 3, 4 player N64 type shit talk.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he is going to go to drdisrespect.gg or whatever his website is and have a subscription-based streaming service on his own website and just be Doc without any outside influence, payments, have his own sponsorships, and run a business. And really, you know, I was arguing with a previous member of this podcast about business and what it means and how to build it. I don't think Doc's dumb, and he certainly isn't lucky. He's a hardworking person that paved a way, and he's about to show us, I hope he's about to really put his fucking 17-inch dick on the table and show us
That's
that
really
he
big.
is a smart businessman. Yeah, it is big. It's girthy too. He's a smart businessman, and that he is going to do something that no other streamer has done. And I hope he does it through his website and has no constrictions and just does whatever the hot fuck he wants. No contracts, no bullshit, just sponsorships and $9.99 a month to watch me stream. I didn't sub to Doc when he was on Twitch, but I will buy that immediately because I like if that's how it plays out, I'll buy it immediately. And even if I don't watch, I'll just support it, even though he's a Not a millionaire, a multimillionaire.
I hope that happens. I don't think there's any chance that it will. You think that people will en masse will go watch him on a non-Twitch, non-YouTube platform just because he's Doc?
I think
Yep.
he will use YouTube or other platforms to like basically funnel people into his website, right? And
I think only him and Shroud could do it. I think those are the only two people who could possibly do it, and he will pave the way. If I was him, that's exactly what I would do.
I'd probably do like partial streams on YouTube, right? And then funnel like, hey, you want to catch my stream tomorrow? It's only going to be on my website, right?
With contracts, they'll own him. He's going to have to do a shitload of. He has to do it on his website first, and then can negotiate because he'll have so much power by taking the power away from these platforms by creating his own. It's not about creating a new website. It's about streaming on your own website and putting the $4.99 that everybody's used to paying to support somebody. No, motherfucker. You better have $5 a month to watch me, or you don't get to watch me.
I think the main thing is that happened globally, like on a larger scale. I think streaming would just die because the websites won't be able to pay their bills.
Well,
Glenn Beck has never made more money, man. He's never made more money, and he's never been more successful.
Yeah, it's not about them making money,
about
about Twitch. I think Twitch would just run out of money if enough streamers did that.
Well, maybe they can start giving us more than fucking 50% of the goddamn subs.
Twitch to run out of money, that would be amazing. So how does his stream grow if he's streaming on championsclub.com? Do you really think people are just going to word of mouth? Like, I mean,
he doesn't need to grow.
Glenn Beck is getting, he's saying, he's over there ranting about, Barack Obama or something and getting shared by Facebook moms 38 million times. Who's sharing Doc clips from a non-Twitch website? Like, I've never seen a Mixer clip in my fucking life of anyone, not of Shroud.
They don't have clips. That's the reason. There's no clipping. There's no clipping on Mixer. That's why it's so dog shit.
I mean, I guess if he comes up with a platform that's super good and works really well and is very, intuitive and engaging, I just don't see all that happening as an
works for porn stars. That's right. It's through Twitter and it's through YouTube. But look at Mr. Rapolis, right? Did I pronounce that right? He made great YouTube videos, gets onto Twitch, boom, a ton of viewers, right? The growth on Twitch is rarely through Twitch. It's rarely been that unless something extraordinary happens.
That's true.
In however you want to denote it. And so if he's active on Twitter and he has an ability to take clips on his own streaming platform, which would be brain dead not to have, and he still does his doc highlights on YouTube, promotes his own website, it's $4.99 to watch me live. He still has donations through there. He's going to make more money than he's ever made by doing that.
All his growth would still have to come from YouTube, though. Basically, it would have to come up from chopped up clips that he puts onto like YouTube compilations. That would be the only way that he's going to grow. I think somebody nothing to do it. Which don't grow because of, I think they do grow on Twitch. If you look at the BDO directory, how many of the top 30 BDO streamers are YouTubers? Like maybe 2 or 3 of them. I mean, some of them upload shit to YouTube occasionally, but none of them are primarily YouTubers. It's all people who started on Twitch and grew on Twitch.
That's true for small small directories like ours, but it's not really true for everyone.
I mean, it's true for like Tim. You didn't grow off of YouTube. Vert, Mac, Choice, all these people grew off of.
I'm
Twitch.
saying that's a nominally just for Black Desert directory, though. Most others don't do that. Most other directories aren't like that.
YouTube is a really important part of growing a Twitch.
Mm-hmm. I
don't want to throw around names. Yeah. I don't care to do that, but. I think having an active and successful YouTube is a integral part of actual growth. I don't think Doc needs to grow to stay successful. I think he can never promote a stream again and still make the money that he needs to make to survive and thrive. But through Twitter and YouTube, I think that is more than enough. He doesn't have to have people gain from him being on Twitch. He doesn't gain from other people being on Twitch.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know. I really want to know what the reason behind all this was. I just think he's being really insincere and kind of like the whole thing is getting kind of stale for me. Like one of the reasons I liked Doc so much was because he was unfiltered and he was, unafraid to be this character that was Doc. And I feel like now all of a sudden we're getting this polished like corporate version of Doc, and I just don't like it, man. Like it
doesn't feel like him
to me.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like him. It feels like you're
Well,
just
I
seeing
mean,
everything
he's
through.
a character. Whoa, okay, easy. He's a character, right? So he gets on stream and he has real moments, but he's Doc, speed, momentum, violence, right? That's who he is.
No, that's
On
not
the
what I'm
back end,
saying.
you can't be successful without being professional in the back end. Can't happen. And so he is Guy, right? And he makes business deals. He is a businessman. He's a multimillionaire businessman. And so when he's being interviewed about his business, he's not going to go, "Hey, fuck you."
Well, the thing is,
I'm a
last time when
multimillionaire."
something
He's
came
gonna
out,
answer the
right?
questions.
Last time something came out, he made a public apology about it, right? And it felt like it was just him. It was just him on camera saying his unfiltered thoughts, right? It wasn't no one telling him what to say, what not to say. And
not fair.
this time, I would have much rather seen him come out and say, "Hey, there's some allegations against me. I don't want to go into details, because of this and that. And we're going to be continuing to work forward. Twitch is
You're
doing
literally
their
saying
thing."
you're disappointed for him not being stupid.
I'm disappointed in him not being sincere.
I don't think it would be stupid if he was the Doc in this situation. If he got banned from Twitch and he went online and started ranting and being pissed off and stirring up a fucking firestorm, don't you think that'd be way more interesting than him being like, "Well,
Yeah.
we're just keeping our options open and we'll see
It
what
would be
happens."
so
6 months from
interesting
now,
to see
we're
a
gonna
top
sit around with our
streamer.
thumbs up our ass because that's all my publicist told me I could say. Like, it's so fucking boring. Everyone's losing interest. I had people who were not gamers who were texting me, like,
My mom.
haven't played a video game in their entire life, were texting me asking me about Dr. Disrespect. Like, and now if I bring it up, they're like, "Oh yeah, I've stopped following that. It seemed like he wasn't ever going to say anything and there wasn't ever going to be any updates." Like, no one cares anymore. He had mainstream spotlight. He could have done something with that if he wanted to continue being the Doc. Instead, he's Mr. Publicist now.
He has it has taken too long.
I'm
But
not
I
happy
think
with
we
it.
need I think we need to see how it plays out. He has to be smart. He has to be smart. He can't just be a meme. You can't run your business as a reckless asshole. Trust me, I tried. It doesn't work. He can't do that, especially when it's millions and millions of dollars.
I just think he
It-
had a
there
lot.
was
He had a lot of
the iron
options on
was
the
hot.
table, right? And he just
The
picked the
iron was
worst
hot.
one.
He obviously has an idea. The iron was hot. It's taken a little bit too long, but to me, that says that it's going to be a big change in something that I'm hoping, speculation. It's a big change, something people haven't done, and I think he's going to stream on the Champions Club website, and I think that's going to shake things up and force Twitch to be more competitive.
He's not going to go back to Twitch, though. You already said that, right?
Right.
I mean, he could
So
always
he's going to
change his
do
mind,
something.
but-
I think he's going to do something that's going to force Twitch to be more competitive.
I hope he does, man. I hope somebody competes with Twitch because
Please. So let's wait. And I like talking about it every week, and I agree it's taken it too long. But man, just saying that it's not what he's doing now isn't entertaining. Honestly, is a little. Come on. He's got to make the right decision, and he's got to make sure it plays out correctly. He can't just be Doc 24/7. He's Doc on stream. He's Guy off stream.
I either want Doc or I want a honest, unfiltered, real person talking. I don't want Mr. Businessman, and that's what I've been getting the last 3 weeks is Mr. Businessman. So that's just I'm just tired of it. Like, I was interested in the topic, but now I'm just kind of tired of it. It's like I literally watch YouTube videos, and it's like literally the most mind-numbing stuff people are talking about.
We all stream for a living, and I find that interesting that you have that idea that's your opinion of this when we all stream for a living.
Do you think there's still a chance that like something super fucked up comes out?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No.
Just wishful thinking.
Yeah, I think probably there was some type of allegation. It was probably like way left field, and Twitch overreacted, right? Yeah, I think Twitch was like overreacted, and they found out like, oh, that's probably not real.
Although he didn't really deny it when they brought it up in that article, when they said there was allegations that it might be related to sexual misconduct. He didn't actually say that was untrue. He just said he didn't want to engage in speculation.
Every single time. No, now you're trying to create context out of something. So every single time he was asked a question about the ban, he gave the exact same answer, whether it was about sexual allegations or anything else. He gave the exact same answer that he's not going to engage.
I'm so tired of this. Let's
He
go on to
played it
Destiny. Can we please?
perfectly.
I just,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
get
just
back to
kind of
this next
tired of
week.
it. Maybe we'll have more juice next week on Dr. Disrespect. That'll be more interesting than repeating the same canned response. That's
Man,
what
I'm
Cacal's
so-
been giving us for years, and I'm tired of that too.
I got a long time.
So,
Showing off.
Destiny has also taken the mainstream approach and delayed their game by 2 months, and it's now delayed from September to November, I believe, which I think a lot of people are disappointed in. But now it's going to be competing with Cyberpunk and a lot of other games, so this is obviously going to hurt them monetarily. I'm kind of just not necessarily interested in your guys' take on Destiny being delayed, but more on the whole of this, like how coronavirus is affecting the gaming industry, and kind of seeing what you guys think of just of games being delayed and how that's going to affect things maybe in the longer term.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? I'm kidding.
Ouch, bro. It's just you and me right now. Like,
I know, right? That's the one bad part of having 3 people. If somebody has to go pee, it's like
you
now
just
we're
have
in a
to be
phone
asked to answer the fucking question.
Well, I wanted to hang you out to dry for a second because I'm an asshole.
Can you change that? Thanks.
Yeah. So the coronavirus thing, people getting upset about delays, especially in the gaming industry. And I see a couple of tweets about this every once in a while where they go, why is it so normalized now that it's so popular to hate games when they come out? Because they're rushed pieces of shit, right? Like New World lost their way 100%. They have no idea what they want to be when they grow up. The sanctimonious, PvPers are evil and stuff like that. They have no idea what the hot fuck they're doing. So the best possible scenario was for them to delay it. And so everything has delays. Construction, food, Amazon deliveries, top to bottom, absolutely everything has delays. And if that offends you, then you should get your head out of your ass, quite frankly. When it comes to games, I'm 32 years old. I'm about to be 33. When I bought a game for $49, or my mom bought me a game for $49, Super Mario RPG, right? That game, when I plugged it into my console, was perfect. Exactly the way it was. There was cheat codes. It was complete. Nobody cared about when it was dropping. A game appeared, and it was done. And they had to finish it because there was no internet on it. I think that was N64. No, it wasn't. It was Super Nintendo. There's no internet on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, you had to have a game done when it came out, and if it wasn't done, then your game, that was it. There was nothing.
There wasn't context. There wasn't next year we'll do this. There wasn't even a sequel to Super Mario RPG, which holy shit, I would play the fuck out of that today. Like, wow, such a good game. Anyway, so now we're inundated with these AAA big business companies, lots of money, deadlines, got to get it out for November for the holiday season. Yep. And all these patches and shit, and none of these games are complete. So when you see something like Valorant come out and you go, this is terrible. I use stronger, it's underdeveloped and it's under budgeted and it was rushed, right? And then you see what's Hyperspace.
Yeah, Hyperspace came out.
Thank God Twitch is out. Thank God Twitch is there to prop that fucking terrible game up with awful gunplay, terrible graphics. I don't even know if we'd accept that game without Twitch in 2007.
Yeah, I actually thought the trailer for it looked crazy. They had like an old movie trailer that they hired somebody to make, and bro, it's
all sizzle
insane.
And it's no steak. It's all sizzle, it's no steak. All sizzle, no steak. And so it's not normalizing games being terrible. So when a game company tells me what the deadline that we have can't work for us to put out the content that we want, you need to wait because this is going to come out and it's going to be great. They're setting that sets an expectation of higher quality content. It puts pressure on the company and it's not a popular thing. So it doubles it down. So they have to deliver if they delay something. I love delays. Final Fantasy VII, super delayed, delivered in a big way. Destiny 2 getting delayed. They've got to deliver. They don't have Activision. They have to double deliver. They're setting the precedence for Destiny for a long time here. For a long
That's
time.
true.
This is a big deal. They've got to get it right. Now they've delayed it. They super have to get it right. New World, if it came out, New World was setting themselves up to be the next A Realm Reborn. It was going to be the next Final Fantasy 14. Did you guys play the original Final Fantasy 14? Fucking atrocious. It's one of the worst MMOs with that amount of money. The efficiency was so bad with so much money. It was like the Marlins. It was the baseball team, the Marlins of MMOs. So much money, so terrible.
Whoa, what'd the Marlins do to you?
Nothing since 2003.
So more than what we're talking about is like a whole lot of games getting delayed, right? New World, Destiny's DLC. What was the other one? Cyberpunk.
I love when games get delayed, dude. Early access is fucking killing the industry.
Yeah. So that's what we were talking about. Like this kind of thoughts on like I think it's actually probably going to prove out to be a really, really good for the game industry long term. I mean,
yeah, I was using a lot of
learn.
words to buy time for you to take a shit and wipe twice.
Yeah, I mean, games don't fucking get finished anymore, man. They're just in this eternal state of we'll get to it.
And that's I brought up Super Mario RPG is one of my favorite games of all time. I've actually never talked about that.
Super good.
Super good. There was never even a sequel to it, right? It was a perfect game from launch. Plugged it in, worked. There was no like, oh, we can fix this later and we can get it out for Christmas.
Patches for Super Nintendo.
It was like released in July or something, you know? Like there was no marketing behind it. They're just like, hey, this game's done. Here you go.
I like that.
And so now when I see it delay, that's good. It puts pressure on everything and it has to deliver. And so I'd much rather a delay happen. Look at every Call of Duty comes out on November 12th, like the second week of November for the last 2 decades. And guess what? They're all dog shit. Congratulations. You hit the date.
Think of how easy it would be to make a like modern Mario RPG type of game with modern tools and modern graphics. Holy shit.
We were just talking about that. I was like, oh my God, I just gave myself the best idea. What if they did Super Mario RPG 2 today?
Yeah. Oh.
It'd be glorious.
Oh. I'm sure they'll remake
Nintendo
the original at some point.
I'm gonna need a cut from that.
Dude, even a remaster of that game I'd be all over, but I mean I guess that's
not wrong.
Yeah. Just play
Not
games
wrong.
from 20 years ago.
So the coronavirus and the delays, I think it's a good thing. It's forcing these companies to focus on real shit, on actually making good games again. Because when they make bad games, I get right to my Twitter and I call it out. And I don't care about the fucking cute OnlyFans girl that comes out and goes, why can't we just be more positive? I don't fucking care about positive. I care about doing a good job. I care about constructive criticism.
Yeah,
I don't need to pat everybody on the back because they woke up in the morning. Do a good goddamn job, or I'm going to say you did a shit job. If that offends you, then fuck off.
Yeah, I give people on a pat on the back when they did a good job, not because they think they deserve one.
Oh, you showed up to work. Wow. Wow. No, do a fucking good job.
Be as positive and encouraging as possible in all circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
I got 220 AP on a lawn. Where should I grind?
I think you should ask Reddit. They'll have a good answer for you.
I was trying to see who could last longer.
Hey, what's this streamer's gear? Exclamation point gear?
Yeah, you just type exclamation gear. That works.
Yeah, you're super positive, dude. I love you.
Yeah.
Don't do that, Merlin's chat. That's a debate.
Speaking of congratulating people just for going into work, that literally is my strategy now when it comes to Kakao. Like they actually no, I like in the partner. I asked them about the TET Black Stars, and they gave me a response that was like, "Well, the developers said that it's working as intended," which is kind of what I expected them to say. But at least they bothered to ask
him what. Ask him what.
Well, because the price of TET Black Star crashed like 2.5 billion in a day and a half, even though there weren't any min price Black Stars being sold. So it seemed like something shady was going on. But so I asked them about it, but they actually got back to me. So it was like, wow, yeah, good work. Thanks for
I have to call them out, right? They the Twitter is super active with calling out streamers going live, and it's not just like, this guy went live, go watch him. They're like, hey, not Namiko is going to go over the patch notes, and then it's like, well, somebody else is going over the EU patch notes, and hey, this guy has 1,000 Oasis boxes.
Yeah, they're kind of like curated towards each streamer now. I kind of like that.
They're curated, they're invested, and they're paying attention. And it's the best version of their use of Twitter as a streamer possible. Because before it was just screenshots, right? It was like the cat pictures of Twitter content. It was just like, hey, somebody drew something.
Being better. Do you think that like the community has pushed them in that direction? Do you think that they're getting some initiative? Like, you think they're taking initiative? Do you think they're getting instruction? Where do you think that's coming from?
I think that we have been extremely harsh on them in the partner Discord about some of that stuff, especially fake uniform. And so I think that
partner Discord.
I think that's the start of it, and I think someone inside the company who had a little bit of say so decided to actually put a little pressure behind it. I think they just went through there one day and looked at that and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what in the world's going on in here? I see cat pictures and angry people.
I've almost never seen anyone in the partner Discord, except for Tim, who's no longer in there, say anything other than like, thanks for the patch preview and here's a picture of my cat.
So I don't know why, because there's been a pile of us. It's not just me. There's been a pile of us upset and asking for better in the Discord, on Twitter, throughout, private messages, all that kind of stuff. But it kind of came to a head with fake uniform, apparently. That was like the last straw or something. I don't know why or whatever. But he went on, Fake's an emotional guy, just like I am. And he's like, do better. I'm appalled at the same thing that I did, basically, but on his Twitter. And I don't know why, but that was it. And they snapped right after that. And they retweeted one of his videos. And then it was actually somebody from my stream took one of his old tweets and posted it on that retweet. And was like, this is kind of cringe. And Fake was like, well, I just want to see him do better. And he deleted the tweet. And now we've seen them do better. And so the ends justify the means to me in this, not to be too Machiavellian, but in this scenario, I'm just glad it happens. And I like his little message of, we all rise together and stuff like that. That's fine.
It's just
again, I regret my martyrdom because I'm on the outside. I literally wanted to kill myself to show them that I care this much, right? Through giving up my BDO partnership. And I told him, right, to message me when somebody fucking takes it seriously. I don't expect that to actually happen. I assume I'm always going to be on the outside of the BDO partner program forever. It's fine. I understood what I did, but I'm just glad that something happened. And so, there's quality content creators being promoted, and we literally do all rise together as much as, you gotta make sure that, when you say stuff like that, that you back it up with actions. But it's progress, and it's good for all of us that they are doing that.
Morland, I think what you're getting at on your side is like, what changed, right? Is it just fake uniform? And I think there's probably a little bit more to than just fake uniform,
Fake's
right?
been outspoken about the partner program for years.
Yeah.
I mean,
years. When we're in World's Best Gaming, yeah.
Are they really suddenly listening just because the right person saw his tweet at the right time?
You can see that they've constantly been trying to make improvements over time. Like they've added the partner program. That used to not be a thing. They added the Discord. They added the partner side of the Discord. They changed how they're doing tickets. They've made iterations over time.
They changed how they're doing what did they change about tickets?
They hired a whole new team like years ago for that, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Did they though?
Yeah. Well, I guess they got rid of some bad apples and got some better apples. They're still not all great, but anyway.
Hey, they showed up to work.
And then they also have like stricter requirements for the GMs now. Is one rumor that I was hearing, that they have high requirements for their knowledge base. Anyway, they've been making that. My point is that they're making these small little changes, right, to try to improve their overall their side of the business, right? and they're doing one little project at a time. And I think what probably happened is they're sticking at home and they're trying to figure out what in the world can we do at home. Like we can't work with programmers right now. We can't hire any outside talent.
I think you are giving them way too much credit. I think that they are doing the absolute bare minimum that they can possibly do to avoid scandal and catastrophe. And I think that's all they've ever done from the very beginning. Probably what happened is that someone higher up maybe saw the tweets and was like, "Hey, why are your partners tweeting things like this? Like maybe you should be more active." Like it was probably somebody got in trouble or somebody got like an email that said, "Hey, you should be more
Sure.
proactive here." And because they absolutely have to do that in order to not get fired, they are now doing it. I mean, we just had Richter on the podcast. Like we've seen what it looks like when someone actually wants to do their job.
Absolutely.
The people that we have now don't do a fraction of that.
I want to point out, because the last podcast that we had, they retweeted me. They actually ended up deleting that retweet.
That's because Fake complained about it in the partner Discord.
I complained about it, actually. Oh, did he? I complained
Yeah.
about it too. I don't
Yeah,
want to be
I think they were, because I saw some Discord talks about it.
Yeah, no, he's 100% right in that. And I don't.
Yeah.
I left the BDO partner program, and the first person in months that they retweet is me. That's not right. That's not fair to. And I said that last week. He has every right and should be upset. You guys should be upset about that.
I read
should be value for being a BDO partner. And it, if they're retweeting other people, that's fine. And then, somebody else that's streaming gets slipped in there every once in a while. Cool. But I shouldn't be the first. Shouldn't have been.
It was
but
something.
Deleting the retweet was cringe too.
The what happened is that there's something wrong on their back end, and Fake Uniform mentioned that, and he said, "Yeah, we're working on our tweets, making those better," and we had a problem with, I think, Tim Allen last week where we accidentally messed up on that, and that's been corrected since then. And they had like a little brief conversation about that, and it wasn't like it wasn't a reference to like your actions, it was reference to their actions, and not they mistweeted.
Yeah, no, I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, absolutely. But
Yeah.
I still feel. I don't feel bad. I want to be humble, right? I know that I made a decision. I don't expect or want to be retweeted. Other people that have suffered, I gave up. This is how I want betterness to happen. Is I dipped out, right? Martyrdom.
So I never.
Mine, I do it.
I'm about to blow your mind on this, I think.
Okay.
I was asked to join the partner program, right? I didn't want to be part of it. I was asked to join it. And then they asked if I wanted to be tweeted, and they've asked me several times if I ever want to be tweeted, and I've denied. I said I never want you to retweet me, and I've said that since the very beginning. There's never been a single tweet about me because I don't believe in how they're currently running the program. Never have since day one, and I think they do try to make it better. But as it currently stands, I would rather be in the partner program just to be a voice of reason occasionally, even if it is a very crazy voice of reason.
Good for you.
And like that's my person being there. Is I want to, the best thing I can do is, say my 2 cents and then represent a small portion of the community of like-minded crazy people. And and that's basically all I can, because I don't care about them retweeting. Like the conversion rate of them tweeting me out is close to 0. Like it does not matter to me if they ever tweet me out or not, right? So
we're known entities. It matters more for the newer people. It didn't affect me at all when I didn't even know I was retweeted until I looked at my Twitter and saw the analytics.
So like for me, it's more about this, it's sort of like a foot in the door, so to speak, right? It's like, how can I have a relationship with Kakao? Outside the partner program, it's just close to impossible, like you really, like, good luck singing a ticket or anything. So that's really the main reason why I was interested in the partner program, was just having some type of relationship with them. And then, that way we can give a little direction when the community has a question, like maybe about mappers or whatever the new hot topic is, right? We can get a little bit of insight on that.
We didn't, though. We didn't get insight.
We got insight on how little insight we got.
No information is still information. Yeah.
We keep saying like, oh, they're getting better. When? We're 4.5 years into the game now. When are they gonna actually just be good? Like, we can't keep having 2% improvement a year and call that improvement. It's not. It's too slow and it's too small. I want to have sincere conversations with this company about what needs to be done to fix the game, the most pressing issues that everyone in the community agrees on. Like, and we just can't have any of those conversations. You know, I've been under the impression this whole time it's because they all have their hands tied. But with the conversation with Richter, it doesn't really sound like they're being that restricted. You know, in the back end, it seems like they're just not invested into having those conversations, and that the real purpose of the partner program is more, you know, to just kind of have a place where people can
appearances,
be friends or something. Like, it doesn't seem to be set up in a way that it's supposed to impact the game.
I would hold on. I would love to be taken up on this challenge. I could run a better partner program in my free time within any confines that was given to me. I could 100% do it for free in my free time and do a palpable better job immediately. The effects would be noticed in a week. And I think any of us could do that. I think any of us could really do that. I don't think that's like my special skill set. I think it's that neglected.
Yeah, what do you guys think about how they're giving feedback? I from my understanding is just they fill out a piece of paper with everything they think that should be changed, and then they hand that over to
it's a ticket system. Yeah,
we've been told that they have a weekly call. I can't imagine that that's longer than 10 to 15 minutes. Like, I don't know what they're talking about in these weekly calls, unless it's just one of those things where it's all just rote corporate. Like, we say things and then someone in the other line is like, you know, playing Raid Shadow Legends.
But that's a problem.
Like,
we don't know. And I had this conversation with Emre a couple of times. It's like, I'm still super passionate about capping Mercs and Siege. And he's like, well, I bring it up like every week. And I go, how about you tell me that you bring it up? When you bring it up every week, how about you just let me know that you brought it up? How about just any sort of communication? Because we don't know what's being brought up. We don't know what's being ignored. We don't know what's being cared about. There's zero communication. And I understand that we're not like part of the team. We don't work for the company. We're not privy to that. But literally, radio silence. We're not even acknowledged that every once in a while, I'll give him credit. Every once in a while in the partner Discord, Emre decides to wake up and go to work, and he goes, I'm going to bring that up this week. But how often does that happen? Literally once a quarter, he shows up for a week and does that. He goes, I hear that. We're gonna put that in there, and I'm gonna talk about it this Thursday on our weekly meeting. What happens the other 3 fucking months?
Yeah, I mean, we have CMs whose job is to be the eyes and ears of the community, right? So, like, or the voice of the community. Why can't one of those CMs take 15 minutes a week to say, hey guys, here's the 3 main things that we talked to Prolibus about this week. And if it's
that's what we need.
If it's shit that has to do with like contracts or the cash shop or whatever, and they can't discuss that, that's fine. We don't need that. But how about
tell us that you said something
parts of the game that we are focused on right now, that you know, here's the 3 pieces of feedback that we focused on delivering this week. Like, it would take 30 seconds for them to write that out. And then, you know, if those are important issues, we would be like, hey, shit, thanks for doing that. And if they're not important issues, we could give them feedback and, you know, that could be tweaked. But I just...
I would like to see that.
Shit out of our ass.
I would like to see like a list of like what they send every week, and like, this is what we sent this week to Pearl Abyss. This is what we sent this week to Pearl Abyss. This is what we sent this week to Pearl Abyss. And just have that as a regular post.
If they really are talking about things like capping Mercs in this call every week, and it's been like that for 6 months and Mercs still aren't capped, what the fuck is the point of this call? Why does the weekly call even exist?
Yep.
Well, that's why I left. I told them they're either lazy or ineffectual. Either way, I'm out. It's one of the two. And there's no communication, so I can't even decipher which one's happening, which is honestly, in my opinion, the most egregious part of it. And so we saw an effective BDO partner program when we played Xbox, did we not? I know you got in late because of some weird shit, but when we gave them feedback, they responded. And they did things well and above what we've been able to see because they are self-published and they have that little bit of a connection, or they're a little more invested, or whatever the case was. But we're not pulling shit out of our ass when we're talking about specifics on how they can do better. I don't want to speak for you, Morley. I am comparing PA self-publishing to what we're forced to suffer through an extremely lazy side project, but he's still paid for it, partner program.
All right. Well, I mean, look at it. Like, do you think the console players are having a better response than we are right now? Like, I haven't seen it.
Unequivocally.
Like, I've seen
communication. The communication is
yeah, they do a
compare it.
stream and talk about some stuff, right? But like we've seen Kakao do the
compared
same
to
thing.
what have they with what? How
Yeah,
often? Do
but
they go over patch notes?
Yeah, they came out, for example, they came out with a YouTube video last week, and it was just everything that was in the patch, right? And then like who won the Node Wars and everything, the sieges, right? Like
Yeah.
that.
What'd you learn from watching that?
I don't know. It was
Do you think
basically like
maybe
3 of my YouTube videos in one.
Do you think maybe instead of competing with the content creators, that they should promote the content creators that are creating better content? They have no idea what happens in Siege. And that's all that video showed, is that they have no idea what's happening in Siege. And they're getting raw information with no context. And they're spitting out that raw information. Right? So instead of doing that, maybe they should take Anders does wonderful patch note updates, and they should promote his videos every single week. I don't want to make a patch note update video because he does such a good job. Okay? Why are they competing with him instead of just going, this guy does a fucking great job? They should pay him to do it and professionally promote him. There's been a Siege podcast for years. Maybe you should take a page from Richter and pay attention to it. Right now, it's a fucking disaster. Sorry, Norelio. You do a shit job. It's a hand job. It's a dry hand job.
Like the thing is though, like I don't see that affecting anything. Does that actually solve any of the problems in the game? Right? All right, you paid a content creator to make a patch note. Great. I don't think that even matters, honestly. And if he wasn't making one, then someone else would just start making patch note videos.
Well, I think the partner program, at a bare minimum, should be promoting good content that the partners made. Like, obviously, that's the bare minimum they should be doing. So when they're not even doing that, it's like the partner program is literally just a collection of cat pictures in Discord. Like, that is all the partner program is 90% of the time.
I just don't think they're not a content promotion platform, though. They're not a content promotion platform. I don't care about that. I just care about the game.
Why would you partner with your content creators if you're not going to promote their content?
You give them free stuff in the game, or you give them their communities free stuff in the game, right? Or
That's
you
make the game better, get handing out
or
costumes.
you listen to their feedback, right? You listen to the partner feedback.
There we go. Yeah, that means
or like there's so many other things that are significantly better than, hey, here, promote my content for your
Hold
5
on,
people.
We can't hear you, Marlon. Say again.
Yeah, I mean the feedback is obviously important too. I'm saying at the bare minimum, if you're going to have a partner program with your content creators, you need to be promoting their content, especially when it's exceptional content. Obviously,
and not competing against it.
Yeah, and in addition to that, then of course they should be taking in our feedback, and it shouldn't just be content creators who they get feedback from. They should have a roundtable of other community leaders as well, like people from guilds and shit like that. Certain guild leaders and things like that. That's what other MMOs do. That's what games like Albion Online do. They have a mixture of content creators and community leaders that they listen to, and that they have.
Richter did that too.
Sincere discussions. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess my side of it is like I don't care about the content promotion side. It literally doesn't do anything for me, right? So if they want to do that, that's fine. It's just something that doesn't interest me. What does interest me is making the game better, and I think that's the best use of the partner program. That's just my personal opinion, right? Like, obviously, if other people do want the content promotion, then fine. But if you need content promotion, then you're probably already in a bad state anyway, right?
Hey,
like Anders doesn't need content promotion, right?
Need content promotion. Every single content creator needs promotion. What are you talking about?
Constantly.
Like, Anders got to where he is right now with 0 promotion from Kakao. Did he really need their help?
What does that mean?
I'm just saying,
no, nobody needs it. Successful people don't need it. But at the very worst, it's chicken soup. And they're offering a partner program, right? Which by itself,
it just doesn't mean anything. Like, who cares if one person follows you off their Twitter? It doesn't. That's nothing.
On this hill.
I personally don't care about it, right? I care about other things.
Living, right?
1 follower does not mean anything to me. They tweet me out once a month, even if it's once a month. 1 follower, that's 12 followers a year. It just doesn't mean anything to me. It's so useless.
We need to talk about this offline. This is dipping into like streamer professionality, and you just don't understand a couple of basic things here. Twitter analytics is enormous. Followers, you can't have 2 followers without 1. You can't have 2 without 3. And the following, when you're getting promotions and paid sponsorships, is I'm gated. I don't get opportunities because I don't have enough followers. Moreland gets more opportunities because he has more followers and viewers.
I've watched content creators on other games go from 10K subs on YouTube to 80K in 1 week because they got a shout out in game from the game that they play. Yep. They become 8 times larger in 1 week. Okay. They make 6 months of videos, 10K subscribers. Now 6 days later, 80K subscribers because the company of the game that they're playing actually supports them.
Now, all right, if there was an in-game shout out for it or in-game loot for something like that, now that's a completely different than a Twitter shout out. If they had said Potion Shop TV is streaming on Twitch at the top of the screen and they said that all day, every hour, like once an hour, that would be huge.
Xbox.
That's what
I was the #1 Xbox BDO YouTuber because of Pearl Abyss. No other. Were my videos great? No, they were okay and they were relevant. But the amount of work that they did made me the #1 YouTuber for BDO Xbox, unequivocally.
Like this is what my point, right? So if you look at Fake Uniform, right, and Fake Uniform gave me a shout out, that would be equal to Kakao tweeting me, right? Because Fake Uniform has almost the same number of followers that their Twitter account does, right?
Nope.
And they're more engaged followers.
What?
They're more engaged. Like so in game, there's 200,000 people playing, right? Maybe more than that, right? At a single time. So if you give a shout in game, that's 200,000 people who are actively going to look at that, compared to just a few on Twitter who are going to scroll past it in a Twitter feed, right? I'm saying like the conversion rate is what matters to me, and the conversion rate of Twitter is not high enough for me to even sneeze. I will not. I wouldn't pay them to tweet me out because it's so useless. It just has such a bad conversion rate. But I would 100% pay them to put my name in game and shout me out in game. Like that would be worth $100,000, $200,000. That'd be worth a ton of money to me. That would be huge.
$100,000 to do marketing.
No, that'd be worth like $1,000 to me, right? Is what I was saying. For like an in-game shout out like that, that would be huge. But their Twitter, nothing. I wouldn't pay a cent for it. Maybe a cent, actually.
How much money in $100 bills do you think you can fit into a gallon Ziploc bag?
I think I could probably fit like 60K
comfortably without like breaking it.
Anyway, this is enough for a tirade.
No,
what do you
answer it, Potion. Answer it.
What? How many you can fit in there?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, he said 60. What do you think?
Oh, a gallon? Probably like 300,000. 300 to $400,000 in a gallon bag. If it's $100 bills, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
All right, so that was episode 9 of Nerds and Words. It was awesome to have CM Richter on here. Thank you to Yoshoki. Yeah. Follow him on Twitter. What? No, you were very close, actually, Potion. Follow Yoshoki, CM Richter.
Tested that? What's the answer?
You can look it up. Follow Yoshoki on Twitch and Twitter. Oh, no, he's got a weird Twitter. Don't do that. But thanks to CM Richter for coming on here. I'm Tamelon1337. I'll be streaming Monday, Tuesday. I stream, Friday through Tuesday. So try to do 5 days a week here. Catch me in the morning around 9 a.m. most days. Follow me on Twitter on Tamelon1337. Very active. My Discord is lit. We're having a lot of fun. That's discord.gg/Tamelon1337. Potion Shop, what do you got going on? Where can people find you?
Grind for this Infinite Potion on Twitch right now. My YouTube has lots of music. Getting close to releasing a full album on Spotify and other platforms here in hopefully a couple weeks. Every time I say it's about hair, I have more delays. So we'll see when it actually comes out. But it's going to be 20 songs, an album. It's going to be free for people to listen to on their streams and have in the background of their YouTube videos. That's kind of the purpose of it. This copyright thing's kind of getting ridiculous, and I wanted to have some music that I enjoyed listening to, and the best way of doing that is having some of my own, I guess. So anyway, that's what I've been kind of working on, and I don't know, that's about it.
How about you, Marlon? What's up?
I'm not going to shout any of my channels out because the conversion rate of this podcast is so not even worth pennies to me.
How many pennies do you think you can fit into a Ziploc bag?
Well, that one's harder. Because you
It
can
is
really
harder.
cram pennies in there. They won't tear, you know?
It depends on the brand you buy, I guess.
The branded penny?
All right, that's the end of the episode. Thank you guys so much for your time. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Find us on Twitch, find us on YouTube, and on Spotify. If you guys work out or drive or whatever the case was, it's better with webcams, but at least fucking listen. Cheers. Thank you guys for your time. See you next week.
Have a good one, guys.